Yesterday there was a good-sized Texas flood here, but today the Samsung RadioShack 500 is set to go at Texas Motor Speedway because racy days and Mondays always get us up.
Drivers in the Samsung RadioShack 500, start your engines!
Bill Elliott was one of many drivers who walked out of their coach this morning saying, I feel like the movie Groundhog Day. It's morning, we're in Texas, the radio goes off, and we're ready to go. The difference is this time it's not raining. It's been clear most of the morning. The sun has poked through a couple of times. The track is driver set to go racing. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds, three-time Winston Cup champ, Darrell Waltrip. Darrell, we were all kind of low yesterday when we had to go home, but now,
oh yeah,
let's go.
Listen, if you like Monday Night Football, you're going to love Monday morning racing because I tell you, it's getting ready to get heated up here on this racetrack. No rubber down, and it's kind of a lot of unknowns, things that drive guys like this beside me crazy, but we're going to have a great race, I can assure you of that.
We didn't even have to ask Bill the question. We just kind of looked at him, and he took his hand out, and he went like this. Flip a coin and let's see what happens.
Well, you know, I went in the garage here at 7 o'clock this morning, talked to about 20 different crew chiefs, a lot like Dick Berggren did, said, what are you going to change? They said, what can we change? What do we base it? These race cars have not been on this racetrack since qualifying on Friday. The biggest load is off the engine tuners. Yesterday they pushed these cars to the line, had to be very conservative with the way these engines were tuned because they didn't know when they were going to race, but now more predictable. The barometric pressure is coming down, the temperature is going up, a little conservative on the jets, pulled some jet out. The engine guys feel good about the day.
Bill Elliott is our Bud Pole winner here at Texas Motor Speedway, the 53rd career pole for Bill. He joins these other drivers in next year's Bud Shootout at Daytona. Since 1979, Budweiser's awarded more than $7 million as title sponsor of NASCAR's Pole Position Award. Chevy pace car leads them around as we look through the Walmart starting grid for today's 500-mile race. Dodge and Ford up on the front row. Ricky Rudd coming off third at Bristol. Michael Waltrip, who flipped in Saturday's Busch race. Dale Jarrett there. Stacy Compton, the highest Pontiac in the field, at sixth. Mayfield and Martin, the 1998 winner. Earnhardt Jr. has scored his first win here 2 years ago. Ricky Craven. Steve Park, second here last year. Kenny Schrader finished last year here in the top 10. And as you have a look back through the starting lineup, Darrell, let's crank up that old radio here.
Hey, Rookie, how you doing out there? I tell you, you crossed over the line yesterday, Bud. Mrs. Waltrip wants you to call her when the race is over with.
Hell, she wasn't there. There was nothing to eat in there.
Hey, listen, you know what you did to my coach yesterday? Wait till you get home, buddy.
God, you found out where I live.
My people went over to your house.
You got a lot of people, too.
10-4, man. I can't wait till next week. I'm all excited. Can't wait to get up there and start banging around with you a little bit, bud. Have a good day out there.
DW, it'll be fun. Thanks.
Yesterday, Kevin Harvick and one of our intrepid pit reporters TP'd Darrell's coach. Toilet papered it from stem to stern.
But you know what was nice of them? They only used one roll. They left you a roll laying on the kitchen counter.
They did. And my wife, Stevie, wanted me to be sure and say that quit saying that she had anything to do with me running at Martinsville because it drags her right up in the middle of all this.
Just a quick update, the entire row 16, which would be Matt Kenseth and the 17 car Frank Kimmel, they will have to go to the back of the field. Matt Kenseth and them, they had an engine problem prior to qualifying, broke a piston, changed motors before qualifying, but by the way the NASCAR engine rule is now, if you change engines throughout the entire weekend, you have to go to the rear of the field. Frank Kimmel in the 26 car wrecked in qualifying, as well as Robbie Gordon, the 31 car, starting 24th. He as well will have to go to the rear of the field and start this race.
You know, that's the second time that Kenseth has changed engines and had to go to the rear of the field. He did that at Atlanta.
Twice this year.
And he came back and ran strong, too.
Our Dr. Scholl's race analysis, 43 cars, full field. We'll race 334 laps today. Only one car went home. That was Ron Hornaday in the 57.
Yes, that's correct. That was so long ago, but you're right.
The pit window, 60 to 65 laps. It is very, very humid, but the track is dry. 61 degrees outside. Dr. Scholes, look, feel, do better.
We will keep up with the track temperature. Right now it's 69 degrees. That's much cooler than when these cars were on the track for qualifying on Friday. When qualifying started, it was around 86 degrees, ended at 84 degrees. The pit window is 60 to 65 laps, but we anticipate, since there has been no practice since qualifying, that NASCAR will throw a caution around lap 35 or 40. They could adjust that number based on any earlier cautions just to give the teams a chance to get to pit road to make adjustments.
You know, my least favorite number right now, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, all the way back, because I'm on the outside going into first turn. And I ain't a happy camper.
Riding there with Robbie Benson. You saw Robbie Benson. Man, we've been here too many days. We saw Johnny Benson. This is Robbie Gordon. You know what I meant.
Mondays are just that way. I never
the
can
10
remember.
car and the 31 car.
There you go.
Got a stick in his boat. And there's Sterling. And there's Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Heating up those tires. That's what they're doing, folks. You're just moving that thing around, trying to get some heat in the tires before we take off here. There's no rubber on the track. I'm telling you, you couldn't have taken my power washer and cleaned this track off any more than they did yesterday.
You know, they're putting heat in them. What they're also doing, Daryl, is I almost called you Dale, trying to scuff these tires in just a little bit. The teams would have liked to have been practice if they'd have had practice on Saturday with the new track surface. Scuffing your tires, running every new set a couple of laps will help keep the temperatures down. It cures them. Didn't get a chance to do that, so if you can kind of scuff them in now here on the pace laps, it will help.
Yeah, and I think that some of the Busch teams that maybe was going to do that for these Cup guys, they didn't get to run the whole race, so I don't think they had any tires to give to their compadres down here.
Now, we didn't get to race yesterday, but there was some sports action involving Winston Cup drivers. So we'll ride along with Benson among our
that
car
little whining
today.
noise that you hear, folks, that ding, 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 that's the gearbox in the cars. These guys have got what they call straight cut gears, or Jerichos and some Tex transmissions out there with straight cut gears. That's that whining noise, and you can literally hear that up in the car.
There's no synchronizers in the transmission. These guys actually will shift. Once they leave pit road from a dead stop, they'll shift without even using the clutch, shift by RPM.
Right. Built that transmission for road racing, but everybody got to the point where they said, hey, let's run it everywhere, and it's really been a good thing.
Much more durable than a transmission with synchronizer rings.
Elliott Sadler outside the front row looking back at Michael Waltrip. We're on board with Bill Elliott, the pole sitter, a moment ago. The pole winner has never won this race. At least not the same year he won the pole.
Average finish for pole winners here is like 13th.
You didn't tell Bill that, did you?
No, I didn't.
No, me either.
But you know, he sat on pole at Atlanta and never led an inch, Bill. So we'll see if maybe he can do a little bit better today. I didn't tell him that either.
All right, we've had an extra pace lap to allow everything to come up to temperature and to let these 43 race engines put a little more heat in that racetrack.
They're not coming around to take the green, are they?
I believe they are.
They're coming around to start the race?
Absolutely.
You got to be kidding.
2.5 days later, we are going racing at Texas.
It looks like they got the green flag in their hand. They do. Green, green, green. Go, go, go.
Boy, Elliott got a start.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, Elliott did.
21 didn't.
Elliott did, and Elliott didn't.
That's right.
Sadler.
I think he was wanting to fall in behind him, but he just lagged back too much. Oh, man, you got to tippy-toe through that first turn.
Ward Burton, Jeff Gordon, high and outside, and I don't mean the pitch. I mean that's where they're running.
Boy, you got to be careful now getting in the third turn here up high. We saw it yesterday. Easy, boys, easy.
Darryl, the back of the pack was 3 wide into turn 3. Oh, gosh.
Boy, those guys in the second groove, they can't go anywhere right now. No grip at all. It's hard enough to go at the bottom of the racetrack.
Stacy Compton loose. Holds on.
Oh,
whoa.
Got Dale Jarrett right up his tailpipe. That's what made him loose.
And that's not unusual. No rubber on the racetrack. A car will be loose. Anticipating as the rubber gets down, the car will start to tighten up.
Up on the outside, Steve Park, Kurt Busch, Jeff Green, Rusty Wallace, Dave Blaney, and Hut Strickland. Everybody else in the bottom groove.
Even if you got to fall in line in 29th, 35th, whatever, getting to the inside is just crucial right now.
What I'm telling my driver,
trying to wreck over there to get in the bottom.
Shaw just got a piece of Sterling.
what I'm telling my driver right now, remind him, we get a caution here at about 35 laps. Just take it easy. I'll keep you posted where the leader is.
Does this look like take it easy to you?
Absolutely not. They don't listen normally.
Well, track position is so critical, and some of these guys know they need to pass them all, and pass as many of them as you can right now.
Kurt Busch falls in line behind Jimmy Spencer. Sterling Marlin finally works his way to the bottom of the racetrack.
See, it's so tempting to go to the outside because everybody bottlenecks up trying to get to the bottom, and man, you get a run and you want to go around a bunch of cars on the outside, but whoo, you got to be careful.
And 3 wide.
Whoa, no, please.
Didn't think you could
3
do
wide,
that.
back to 2 wide, 2 wide outside.
I love the spot.
Yeah, so calm.
They never get excited.
But Jeff Green in the 30 car didn't take him long to get back down to the bottom after he got behind these guys.
3 wide here going into turn 1.
Oh.
Well, folks, I know you probably get tired of hearing about 3 wide, but let me tell you, from a driver's perspective, and Larry knows, that is treacherous racing.
There's just no rubber down. This racetrack's wide enough to run 5 wide, but no rubber, no grip up there on the high side.
Mark Martin had a bobble in turn 4, and Bobby Labonte almost collected him. He's
That's the thing.
out.
When you're trying to all stay on the bottom and you're protecting the bottom, if you don't get back in the throttle when the guy anticipates you're going to, or something happens, you got to lift out of the throttle, you get run into from behind.
Green through 6 laps. It's the first time that Bill Elliott has led at Texas, and it's the first Winston Cup race he has led this year.
Yeah, he started on the pole at Atlanta, you know, but he never even led the first lap. So Bill has stepped it up a notch today. He knows how critical it is to be in that bottom groove out front.
Well, he said this morning, Darrell, he either wanted to be way out front or way in the back.
Yep.
But not in the middle of this.
Really, cars handling well. You hear him get back in the throttle really, really early, way back up in the middle of the corner.
Looking out the back at Ricky Rudd in the 28 car. Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. started 8th. He's just picking off one by one. This is a battle for 4th right here with Elliott Sadler in the 21.
But you know what I like about the 8 car, Larry? We heard all these guys say, well, we didn't know what to do. They changed 2 springs and a sway bar this morning.
And one thing NASCAR allowed these teams to do, just to have a little more adjustment in their cars, you normally, under normal conditions, you cannot start with a spring rubber in the front springs. They let these guys put at least a half a rubber just to increase the rate of those front springs. You can yank those rubbers out on the pit stop. Soften that spring rate.
I know Rusty Wallace has a pilot's license, but he is flying through this
Looking
car.
good, clear by 1.
He's been passing cars high and low.
One of the things I'd be worried about, if my car was good right now, I would be worried about that.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
the track is going to go through some major changes as we run this race.
The more rubber laid down, the more it's going to check.
Well, Mike, I just wanted to echo what Darrell said about a car that's good early may not be better late. Lee McCall, the crew chief for Sterling Marlin on the 40, said we're probably going to be loose early in this race, but we'll get better as we go. And in fact, Sterling hasn't made it. He moved forward, so we'll see if he gets better later.
It's what I call anticipation. You got to know what's going to happen down the road.
For 3rd place, Dale Earnhardt Jr. passed his DEI teammate Michael Waltrip. Bill Elliott has led every one of the 10 laps. Ricky Rudd, though, now has run him down and is just 2 car lengths off the lead. Welcome back to Texas. Bill Elliott's been on point since they dropped the green flag, but Ricky Rudd has taken the lead away.
Darrell, it almost looked like Bill knew Ricky caught him. No sense in pressing the envelope this early in the race. You can see him kind of move high, let Ricky take the lead, getting out into turn 1. Ricky Rudd in that 28 team, they're another team that came here and tested, one of about a dozen teams. And you have to feel, with no practice in race runs, that could be the teams that could prevail that has those 2 days of testing.
I believe Fatback's got that old 28 car tuned up today. He's been, they had a good finish there at Bristol, finished 3rd. I think they picked up a little momentum coming into this weekend.
They tested here, Tuesday after Bristol?
I think that's right. They tested for 2 days.
20 car looks like it's moving along pretty well as usual.
Kyle Petty and Sterling Marlin, 2 Dodges side by side with Rusty Wallace's number 2 Ford in the mix there. Casey Atwood off the pace has come to pit road.
Yeah, he was backing up big time. I don't know if he's got a tire problem, engine problem. He's got something wrong though.
We were looking at Sterling Marlin's car here. He's the one back in January for the new repaving job that the racetrack did here, did what we call the tire test for Goodyear. They come here and determine what tire they wanted to run. And Darrell, you know all of that testing's done in race configuration. But this car of Sterling, it's undefeated. It was brand new. He won Las Vegas and he won Darlington.
Boy, that 49 car,
Just hang on.
Shauna over there, she took off like she was headed to the wall, but she caught it.
Qualified well. I think her best qualifying effort it was.
It
16.
was, yeah. Great qualifying run, but looks like she got her hands full right now. Watch. She's up out of the groove just a little bit. Oh, and I think got a little help from one of her friends.
She was a little loose. One of her friends made her a little loose.
Excuse me.
That's Atwood coming back on track, trying to get up to speed in the 7th.
You know, here's a guy started 26. Texas has not been that good to him. That's where he's running right now, so he's really not making up any ground. Matt Yoakum, what's going on with Jeff Gordon?
Larry Mackey actually faded back to 33rd, and as you mentioned, climbed back up to where he started. Robbie Loomis watching the car go in to turns 1 and 2. Robbie, what's wrong with the race car?
The car just started out extremely loose. It's coming to him a little bit now. It seems like it gets a little nose weight in. He's going to have to wait till that lap 35, tighten it up some point.
Well, as Larry mentioned, this has not been one of his best racetracks. In fact, Mike, this is his worst racetrack on the circuit. His average finish here, 26.5.
Okay. Tony Stewart moves past Ricky Craven, and that will be at 12th place.
Talk about nose weights. You know, these things got 22 gallon of fuel in the back there, and as it burns off fuel, if the car's loose, it will tend to tighten up because it'll put more weight on the front tires, and it'll take weight off the rear tires and tighten the car up a little bit.
And you have to believe that's tightened up. Plus, again, a little more rubber. The longer they run, putting that rubber down, that's going to tighten them up as well.
And more likely, a guy would probably don't enjoy driving a loose race car, but you can tighten the thing up with air, wedge, and other things.
But Darrell, how many times have you been in this situation? The first couple of pit stops, you do 3 or 4 or 5 things to tighten it up. By the end of the race, you've undone all of those things, plus then some to free it up.
Well, Sadler got up out of the groove and almost paid the price.
Jimmy Spencer goes past Tony Stewart now alongside.
And I know maybe TV doesn't do it justice, but when that thing gets up out of the groove and starts to take off like that, a driver's not real sure if he's going to be able to save it or not. He just doesn't know for sure.
And I like what Larry said earlier. Some of these cars that look like they're in really bad shape now, the track will come to them.
It wouldn't surprise me to see another groove come in, a second groove, and guys that are loose will be able to move up in that groove and run pretty well.
What's fixing to happen, though, here, we're at lap 24, coming to lap 25. Ricky Rudd has caught the tail end of the field. When he catches these guys, his car's going to change. It's not going to want to turn as good, and we know we're about 10 or 15 laps away from that caution, so these guys are going to fight him hard to stay on the lead lap. Dick Berggren.
Well, Ricky Rudd came on the radio on lap 8 and said his car was just a bit free. He took the lead on lap 15, and just after that, he came back on the radio and said, it's still a bit free. I don't want it any freer, but I don't want it any tighter. Right now, he has a 2.6-second lead.
Well, what's really tough is when that leader's going, you got a caution coming. You got the spotter, you got the crew chief, you got everybody hollering at you. Stay on the lead lap, stay on the lead lap. Sometimes you get yourself in big trouble.
Again, NASCAR has said they will put the caution out at lap 35 for drivers to check tire wear, which is not uncommon when we come to a new or newly repaved racetrack. Laps complete. Ricky Rudd, the leader. He has lapped Casey Atwood, Frank Kimmel, Brett Bodine, Shauna Robinson, Rick Mast, Jay Sauter, and now Jerry Nadeau. And that's a little surprising considering how well Nadeau runs at Atlanta.
There is, and these guys are all calling in and say, check the scoreboard, see if it's right. Is that scoreboard right? I can't be getting lapped.
Brett's teammate Dale Jarrett has moved around Bill Elliott for second place.
Of course, a big change there this week. Todd Parrott taking back over the crew chief duties. Jenny Elledge resigning. And this is the same car that DJ won with here a year ago. I know they felt like this was the place that would be the telltale sign if this team could get their season turned around.
Well, you can't have two masters, and that's what Dale Jarrett was faced with. Todd and Jimmy both trying to make calls, and like Dale said, he didn't know which one to listen to, and one time it'd be one time it'd be the other. I think there was real confusion in that team.
In 3 laps, we expect to see the yellow. Bobby Hamilton is going to go a lap down before we get there. That's what Ricky Rudd's working on now.
Mike, here's a bunch of these guys that are going to be so glad to see that yellow. I don't think anybody really anticipated us running 35 laps without a yellow.
And I tell you what, I don't think anybody anticipated either. Daryl, I've been watching the scoring monitor. Most cars are running in the 32nd bracket, a few in the high 29s, contrary to Bill Elliott sitting on the pole at 2780. Yeah. I have to believe that the guys that anticipated this pace would slow down, pulling that lower gear, more RPMs, are going to be better off. But how about this guy right here, Stacy Compton, in 4th place? Came out here and tested. They felt like this team's finally coming together. Mike Hillman, the crew chief, finally getting everything together.
Well, he drives for A.J. Foyt. And when you come to Texas for A.J. Foyt, Darrell, that's got to be just like going to North Wilkesboro driving for Junior Johnson.
You got that right. If you're going to keep your job, it'd be real wise to run good here.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. was right up on Compton. Now there's a little bit of a separation there between 4th and 5th. Matt?
Mike, he has faded a little bit as Dale Jr.'s been on the radio talking to his crew chief Tony Uri Sr. just about what changes to make to the Bud Chevy on this caution. He says the car's a little neutral in, but it pushes from the center off. He said, but the push is not that bad. One other note, he says he does have a little bit of vibration as the caution does fly coming down the front straightaway. And one other note, he says, Tony, there is some sort of big barbecue going on in turn 3. There's lots of smoke everywhere.
Bobby Hamilton got back on the lead lap there. Ricky slowed down enough to let him get by, but Jerry Nadeau did not. He was back too far.
Now, when the caution came out, it was Robbie Gordon just ahead of Ricky Rudd in danger of going a lap down.
That's because the caution was coming out. I'm thinking Ricky probably wouldn't have, obviously didn't force the issue, and probably wouldn't. You see Bobby Hamilton coming about on the inside here to get back on the lead lap.
And Robbie Gordon saves from going a lap down.
And you might say, that Robbie Gordon, I can't believe he did that. But folks, I mean, we're 35 laps into the race.
Job to do that.
You know, Ricky's leading, and you're going to have a caution. Give me a break.
No question, pit road will be busy. Everybody 4 tires, making those adjustments. Crew chief doing some serious interrogating right now. What's your car doing?
The scanners are busy.
There are your leaders in amongst race traffic. Cars that are a lap down are not allowed to pit this time. They'll pit on the 2nd lap that the pit road is open.
And the H cars come in 1 and 2.
45 miles an hour down pit road. Pit road still a little bit damp, a little bit wet. Steve Burns.
Jeremy Mayfield to the attention of Sammy John's crew. Ray Evernham looking for the pit box. Larry, they had talked about making a track bar adjustment, but they're just going to open up the stagger a little bit to make an air pressure adjustment on the 19. Dick Berggren.
Ricky Rudd has stopped perfectly in his pit box. He stopped toward the back end of it. He's got nobody behind him. He's got Mark Martin in front of him. That'll give him a good spot of room to get out. No changes. The car is absolutely the way Rudd wants it.
Here in the 9th, Elliott, he is already down to the way, but Ricky Rudd will beat him off. Elliott will come out 2nd. They made a track bar adjustment and air pressure adjustment. Elliott was happy with the car on entry, but it was tight from the center off.
Stacy Compton came in 4th and lost, looks like about 8 positions.
Yeah, he lost a bunch.
So 37 laps are complete. This first caution flag, the drivers were told in their meeting that NASCAR would waive a caution at 35 laps so they could check tire wear. That's where we are here in Texas. Today's Track Facts brought to you by Pizza Hut's Pizzone. Two first-time winners here, Jeff Burton, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 5 Winston Cup races. The track was repaved last June, so 12 drivers broke the previous record in qualifying. Let's update you. Oh, Pizza Hut's Pizzone, the pizza you eat like a sandwich. Pronounce that right. All right, pit stops. Let's kind of recap for you here. Ricky Rudd in and out first. DJ and Elliott swap spots. Elliott had the first pit stall way down the end. That helped there. Stacy Compton did lose 10 spots on pit road. Earnhardt Jr. came in and out 5th.
It could take Stacy Compton many laps to make up those lost 10 positions.
But how about Tony Stewart, Larry?
And look at here. Look at the difference between Stewart's and look at Compton. 5 seconds, there it is right there. 7 seconds on the pit stop itself. Tony Stewart, that group, they do that every week. Good efficiency on pit road.
Well, 2 things. They probably had to, maybe they adjusted on Compton's car. They didn't do anything to Tony's because he was coming up through the field.
Now, while we were running under green, as there's a look at Greg Zipadelli's crew getting ready for the next stop. Stewart started 29th. He had moved up to 11th on the racetrack under green, a gain of 18 positions. Jimmy Spencer had moved up 9 spots. Rusty Wallace had moved up 14 positions. And Ryan Newman had gained 17 positions under green prior to this competition yellow. Steve Burns?
Mike, as we said, Sterling Marlin wasn't making any move to the front. On that stop, they took 1 pound out of the right rear, 1 pound in the right rear. And the big adjustment, Larry Mack talked about it, they took a spring rubber out of the left rear spring to Dick Berggren.
The tires that I took a look at that came off the cars that are around me all looked very, very good. No tire problems at all. Elliott Sadler started in 2nd position. Car a bit too tight. He had dropped back to 14th spot, came out of the pits in 16th. They worked on tape, and they also changed the track bar.
How about Ryan Newman? He gained 17 positions on the racetrack and another 9 positions on his pit stop.
Well, you know, we were shocked to no better than qualify. We're getting ready to go back to green here, and they had a problem. We'll talk about that later.
We can talk about that in a little bit here.
This much more important.
Absolutely.
Get ready. Green flag.
Bill Elliott trying to, or rather Ricky Rudd trying to keep Jay Sauter in the Dave Marcus 71 a lap down. Good bit of scrambling further back.
Yeah, there were some things going on back there that I'm not sure was totally legal.
You mean like passing on the inside before the line?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's all right or not. We'll find out, I guess. Boy, look at Stewart.
Whoa, he's on the high side right there. This is lap cars. It's blowing right there in the lap car in front of him. Jay Sauter in that 71. He's going to try to split him, but I don't think that's going to work, Tony.
Well, Brent Bodine eased up and gave Tony a spot to get in that low groove, or, as Ken Schrader says, it could have been big.
In the middle of all that, he went by Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the 5th place. Here's a pass for the lead teammates. Dale Jarrett, that 88, he's going to bring Bill Elliott with him. Ricky knew he was too high to get down in the corner, getting into 3.
Well, he was very smart. He didn't want to cut down in front of DJ because he knew he had a big run. Don't want to cause a big wreck right here in the front of the field, knock himself out early. Good job on the spotter's part. Right now is when everybody's got to be on their toes, drivers, spotters, everybody, because these cars bunched up this way with new tires. Somebody will get loose, low air. Don't want an accident right now.
You know, Mike, we look at Bill Elliott running in 2nd, the 9 car, and Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 car. It's one of the few operations, and we talked to Bill this morning, that had no team come out here and test it. Bill didn't come test, Jeremy didn't test, Casey Atwood didn't test. It's one of the few operations that at least didn't have one team to come here and test that they could draw information from.
But I believe that's a culmination of that Dodge philosophy. All 10 teams working together. All the cars don't have to test because of the way they operate.
Yeah, they share a lot of information between the 10 teams that Dodge supports, one of which right now is having some problems. Matt?
Mike Ward-Burton is struggling in his 22. Tommy, besides pulling out the fender, what did you do to the car on the last pit stop?
Well, we don't have any radio contact with him, so we really can't tell what's going on with the car right now. But they're throwing some parts in there, and they're off the radios and his harness and stuff, trying to get him to switch them out so we can get some contact with him. But we'll have to hold on, hopefully get a caution. We'll have some time to fix on his radio. We think the car is tight, so we made some adjustments to loosen him up.
That's Tommy Baldwin, Ward-Burton's crew chief. He's faded from 30th all the way back to 36, Mike.
And it's not just that he can't communicate with Tommy. More importantly, he can't hear that spotter when we're out racing under green.
Yeah, the question I would have is, can he hear them, but they can't talk to, you know, can he hear them, but he can't respond?
Bobby Labonte, Mark Martin, Michael Waltrip. This is at 12th place. How about it, Matt?
Well, Mike, he can actually hear the crew and his spotter, but the crew cannot hear him, so they are actually having to use hand signals, like in the old days, DW, to tell the team what the car is doing.
Have they got a pit board, Matt? That's how it used to communicate, is have a big chalkboard and write messages on it to the driver.
Well, everybody, you know, I told you about think on the dashboard, but usually you had 1, 2, 3, 4. You pat on the roof if you were loose, wanted wedge in. You pat on the door if you were tight, wanted wedge out. pat on your helmet if you needed a relief driver.
And you could gesture out the window another way and say, this thing is terrible. I can't drive it no way.
And then you pat your foot if you had to go to the bathroom.
3 wide. Well, Jarrett, with today's safety enhancements, you can't get that hand out the door to tap that door or the roof. Caution is out. Debris in the front straightaway is the reason.
And this is also the other reason, so everybody take a deep breath here because we're getting a little tense. Like I said, after those pit stops, you're going to have some guys coming and some guys going. And the fast guys are running over the slow guys.
Back it down. No threat from behind.
Nobody was trying to get a lap back from Dale Jarrett. He's
side window.
Right
out of the right
window.
side. Yeah.
We saw that happen to Brett Bodine a few weeks ago.
Whoever that came out of, they will have to come to pit road and replace that window. Most teams will carry a spare window because NASCAR says at a track a mile or bigger, you cannot run without a right side window. 1.5 miles or bigger, this being a 1.5 mile racetrack. And the reason they run that window, that's one of the things that NASCAR figured out a few years ago. If the car starts to spin, it will sit the car back down.
It's Brett again.
Brett again.
Brett Bodine. What if it's the same car?
I don't know.
A lot of teams run the same car here.
I know it's not the same window.
No.
What that does is that when you close off the right side of the car, when the car starts to go into yaw, it actually acts as like a big shield, as a big wedge, and it'll actually plant the car with the whole right side covered up.
We talk often about Brett being the last owner driver on the circuit, and he is the last independently driver-owned team. We kind of forget that Kyle Petty is an owner driver. Now, he owns and runs Petty Enterprises, which is a 3-car team, but we can't forget that Kyle is an owner and a driver, too.
He got big headaches. He got 3 times the headaches.
We're under caution in Texas. Still under caution for debris as you ride along with Dale Jarrett. Ward Burton and Jeff Green have both made lengthy pit stops, as has Bobby Hamilton, who has the hood up trying to cure that smoking problem. There's Burton's crew at work. They've been inside the cockpit, so now they fixed the window net. Brett Bodine was in to get a new right side window and goes back out, and in one lap, I think we'll go back to Green.
Yes, sir. That flagman is putting that one finger up in the air. Spotters and crew chiefs communicating to their drivers, one to go, clean them up.
Time for today's Ford No Boundaries moment. It's been no boundaries for the Jack Roush team in 2002. Last year, they got off to a tough start. Didn't have a driver in the top 10. Didn't have one in the top 20 in 2001 after 6 races. But now, 4 drivers, all 4 of Roush's cars are in the top 10, led by Matt Kenseth in second in the points.
That doesn't even look like the same operation.
Nope.
Dick Berggren.
Yeah, let's get a little specific about things. Remember who won 2 weeks ago in Bristol, Tennessee? Kurt Busch drives for Jack Roush. Let's take a look at Mark Martin. 8th in points right now compared to 23rd last year. 3 top 10s to this race compared to only 1 last year. You're right. The whole Roush team is doing much better this year than they did last.
There are probably a lot of reasons why, but one key one is the 60 or so horsepower they found in the engine shop.
Yeah, I've said all along, I know they may not be in the Yates category yet, but they're a whole bunch better than they were last year. You can see that when they get up on the straightaways.
It's our Ford No Boundaries moment for today's race as we're set for a restart.
No substitute for that horsepower.
Horsepower and aerodynamics. I think they've improved everything and the chemistry of some of their teams.
Dale Jarrett leads Bill Elliott, Ricky Rudd, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Tony Stewart. The rest of the top 10, Mayfield, Jimmy Johnson, Spencer, Rusty Wallace, Ryan Newman.
Again, these cautions are falling just right for some of these guys. Another chance to improve the car because we didn't have any practice. So every time some of these guys come in, they're going to continue to get better and better and better.
And most of the leaders, they decided not to give up that track position after only running 7 green laps. But the guys at the rear, nothing to really lose, come in. Not so much get fresh tires as much as make those adjustments.
Yes.
Remember when the first caution flew as we watched Jimmy Johnson and Jimmy Spencer go at it side by side? This man, Robbie Gordon, was in danger of being lapped, and he had to change lanes to keep Ricky Rudd from lapping him before the caution. He he's had good pit stops and improved on his car. He's up to 16th.
And to add another element to it, just remember, no laps at all this week with this race car. Wreck qualifying, racetrack was never on the race car was never on the racetrack.
Jimmy Johnson trying to work in that high groove. He had a run on Jeremy Mayfield, but there's Shauna Robinson.
Frustrating when you got to run on. It's going to cost Jimmy a lot of spots because he can't get down out of behind Shauna.
Get in there.
Well, boy, he tried.
Just wasn't enough room.
He had his blinker on, but nobody was noticing.
But look at Bobby Labonte right behind this group in the 18 car, pulling up beside Ryan Newman in the 12. He's on the bottom.
Outside, still there. Outside.
Well, now the lap car's on the inside in front of Wallace.
Outside.
So Jimmy Johnson is going to try to fight his way past on the outside again, and going to get there.
But I tell you, when you got a track this fast, there's no good place for a slow car. You cannot get out of the way. Because whichever way you go, somebody's going to be on the inside or outside trying to take that line away.
You know, Darrell, as we look at Ryan Newman in the 12 car, we had talked about him a little bit earlier, started 36, and I think we were all shocked that we just knew we couldn't wait to see Ryan Newman qualify here. But I talked to his crew chief, Matt Boylan, found out what happened to that race car. They never got a lap in on Friday before qualifying. His actual full first-fledged lap for qualifying was when he qualified. They had the car so soft in the front when the right front tire would travel, it was actually rubbing the shock bolt up on the roll cage. They had to pull that out and completely weld a new bung in it. So his really first authentic lap, full-fledged lap, was qualifying.
And we heard him say that he took all the stuff that Rusty was doing this week, unlike Rusty tried to do in the past, and did exactly what Rusty did for the race.
With Rusty testing here, he said, I sure hope their setup's as good as they think it is.
Yeah, they left here real happy, I know that.
During that caution, several cars made extended stays on pit road. One of those was Bobby Hamilton. Steve?
Yeah, Mike, the 55 was on pit road on 3 separate occasions. They found a bad power steering line. They thought it had come disconnected. It was actually just not working. So that's why the 55 was on pit road. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Jeff Green, car number 30, also had an extended stay on pit road. The car had been handling very poorly. The long stop was to hook up the rear anti-roll bar. To Matt.
Dick, Stacy Compton's fans might have been wondering what happened to the 14 car under the previous pit stop. They didn't have any trouble as far as servicing the car, but he was blocked in by Michael Waltrip when he tried to leave, so he lost a lot of time. Went in 4th, came out 14th, currently rides in the 15th position. One other quick note, Mike, Ward Burton does have his radio fixed. They found the problem under that last stop.
Thanks, guys. Those were the 3 cars that made long stops.
And one of the things that we've heard the Pontiac guys complain about the most, I think, Chevrolet's probably got theirs fixed this week with the kick out they got, but the Pontiac guys don't like their cars in traffic, and Stacy complained about that a lot, said it really helped the car. So we'll see how he gets up through the field.
And of course, Pontiac has a brand new car coming next year that I'm sure is going to look a lot like a Taurus or Intrepid. Very round car.
If I was building a new car, that's exactly what I'd make mine look like.
You know, just to talk about the 30 car, they hooked up their rear sway bar, anti-roll bar, as Dick Berggren said, and that helps the car turn. It increases the rear spring rate of the car, and normally they have it where it's on a quick pin where you can either hook it up or unhook it quickly.
The history of this track has always been, you can get into the corners pretty good here, but you carry so much exit speed that the car wants to push. You just about knock the wall down off of turns 4s and 2. So a rear bar will help the car really free up and turn up off the corner. A lot of guys don't like them. It changes the driving characteristics of the car, but if you can drive one, it's a way to go sometimes.
Did you like it?
At short tracks I did, where you really needed the car to turn quick and sit down and go fast. Like at Martinsville, it'd be a good thing to have. Here, high speeds, I was always a little skeptical.
And the transition, when the rear bar, when everything finally loads up and that rear bar actually takes control or takes over, the driver don't like that transition it goes through.
It makes the car drive differently. It's like they were trying to drive the cars when they were letting them run down on the rubbers on the front.
Hunt Strickland in front of Elliott Sadler there as we go back up front to Dale Jarrett, who now leads this race by 1.6 seconds over Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Ricky Rudd.
Larry, that's one, all that we're talking about is one of the guys at home is sitting there, what are they talking about?
What's that? What's this bright light? Yeah. Oh, it's the sun is out.
Oh, it's the sun. Here comes the sun.
That'll change things.
Doot and do. Or day or da or whatever.
Ricky Rudd being tracked by Tony Stewart. That's for 4th place.
Dale Jarrett now has the big lead and the advantage of being out front in that precious clean air.
Look at the speed they carry off into the corner here. 192.
But now when qualifying, Bill Elliott was 182 miles an hour through the corner and 197 going down into turn 3 back here.
But it's the mid-corner speed that's really suffered due to all the rains and no rubber on the racetrack.
But that's still fast.
Oh, yes.
Over 165 miles an hour, 167, 168.
But let me tell you, from a driver's perspective, from a 182 through the middle of the corner down to 165, that feels good. I'm pretty happy with my car now.
You lead on 3rd place.
Dale Jarrett has opened it up to 2 seconds. And as you heard on the scanner, a 3-second lead on 3rd place, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2 Fords, a Chevy, a Dodge, and a Pontiac are in the top 5 here in Texas at 67 laps. Dale Jarrett has led 30 of the 72 laps thus far. Ricky Rudd and Bill Elliott have also been on point for the Samsung RadioShack 500.
You know, and Elliott's taking advantage of that pole starting position today. Now he's staying up there in the top 2 or 3, and he likes it up there today. Bill's obviously got a pretty good hot rod. He beat everybody qualifying by about a 10th, a couple of miles an hour. Sitting there in pretty good shape right now, Larry.
Yes, he is. Again, Mike and I talked to him this morning, and he was very optimistic, but a little bit skeptical about what to expect today. Again, with no track time on the racetrack at all in race conditions.
Kurt Busch passes Jeremy Mayfield. They've been battling back and forth for 12th place. They're about 13 seconds back of the leader.
And here, when you're out front in clean air, I'm telling you, there's a huge difference. Jarrett's up there running 29.7. Back in there where they are, they're running 30.4. So they're giving up about 5 or 6 tenths a lap. That adds up in a hurry.
Jarrett now 2.5 seconds up on Elliott. Little lap traffic in between. But one of the biggest surprises has been our 2nd place point man, Matt Kenseth, who started this race from the back, 41st, and has now found his way up to 11th place.
It's incredible that I guess I would be surprised if they probably aren't on the same strategy they were at Atlanta when he did that and came back and had a great race and finished 4th.
Just remember, he qualified 31st, but had to start at the back because of having the engine problem before qualifying. They broke a piston, put a new engine in to qualify, but by the rules, regardless of when you change the engine, you have to start at the rear of the field just as if you were going to a backup car.
You can hear by the throttle response on Jarrett's car how quickly he can pick the throttle up. Now he's not matting it like they were maybe when they qualified, but listen to him get back in here. Park throttle, gets about half throttle, and then mats it when he gets the car turned off the corner well.
Rolls out of it way before actually getting to the corner, but as you say, well before the center starts picking that throttle up.
The way his season started, some of his fans were wishing he would have raced the truck. 1 top 10 finish in 5 races. Very uncharacteristic start.
And probably the biggest thing that was uncharacteristic is 2 engine failures. Something that don't happen with Robert Yates, Doug Yates engines very often. Had a good car at Rockingham when he lost the
Yeah, he's leading the race at Rockingham. They can let him down.
Bill Elliott 2nd, Ricky Rudd 3rd. The pole sitter now 2.8 seconds off the lead, Matt.
Well, Mike, Bill Elliott's been actually flying all week, and what I mean by that is Bill Elliott's an avid remote control helicopter flyer. He actually has one and takes it to the races with him sometimes, but he flew out to Texas early, and the reason, he's taken up flying helicopters. He came out here and went to the Bell Jet Helicopter School. He's learning how to fly helicopters. Right now, though, the number 9 Dodge is flying along very well. They're scheduled to pit about another 25 laps. They made some adjustments because the car was just a little bit free in and a little tight in the center.
Boys and their toys. Gotta have a helicopter.
See miles per hour and RPMs on Bill Elliott going off into turn 1, about 8,800. Only falls back to about 74, 7,500 in the middle of 1 and 2. Mid 160s. Coming down the backstretch. Probably see a little less RPMs. Yeah, about 8,700 going into turn 3. Mid 180s. The miles per hour in the center of the corner at both ends is about the same, but the RPMs and miles per hour at the end of each straightaway is a little different. Remember, the front stretch is much longer than the back stretch.
And I had a lot of people say, well, if the drivers liked the track last year, and most of them did because they could run several different grooves, why did they repave it? There were several issues here. One, they had a drainage problem, and there was water under the track. 2, the track had gotten rather rough. And my experience has been, and Larry, you'll know what I'm talking about, when they run IRL cars or Indy cars on a racetrack that we race on, we always have a really nice, smooth pavement.
As low as they run those cars, it has to be smooth. There you see Robbie Gordon in the 31 car getting lapped again after recovering earlier.
And our points leader, Sterling Marlin, finds himself in 16th. He's kind of Mr. Anonymous the first half of the race lately. Just waits for the race to come to him.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is, Mike. The car, I think they started the car off a little tight, drivable tight, not pushing the wheels off of it, but just tight. And then as the race goes along, it frees up and the car gets going.
But boy, he's losing a spot right there to Jeff Gordon in the 24 car. This is a battle for 16th. You know, talking about repaving the track, one of the big fears when you come to a freshly paved racetrack is the asphalt going to pull up as these cars? But what I like about what they did here, they did it back last summer. It had the summer heat that it sat. Then they actually raced the trucks in the IRL here in the fall. Then it had all winter to sit. So it's what we call it's good and cured before we came here to race on it.
Well, one of the smoothest tracks I've ever raced on is Indianapolis, and they just they ground it to take some bumps out of it before they had the Indy 500 up there. So those Indy cars and IRL cars, they got to have the smoothest surfaces that you can possibly have, which is a real neat deal for us.
You know, track general manager Eddie Gossage estimated that 80% of the ticket holders, sellout crowd yesterday, would come back for today's race. I thought that figure was high. I was wrong. This place is packed.
Yes, it is.
Not like yesterday. But I think our sport has become so popular that you can get an excuse to miss work on Monday if you got to go to a NASCAR race. I think that people say, that's okay if you're going to the race.
I know you can.
Are you saying production in the Fort Worth area is a little down today?
A little down today.
85 laps complete. Dale Jarrett has built up a 5-second lead. How big is the crowd at Texas? 3 times as many people than have ever seen the Dallas Cowboys play in person. 4 times the biggest crowd to see the Texas Rangers, which was this Friday, biggest regular season crowd, and 10 times as many people as can fit in the American Airlines Center to see the Mavericks or the Stars.
Just to tell you about the crowd here today, the local public schools just said, finally, the heck with it. We're going to close school today. We can't get our buses in all this traffic.
See, I told you it's all right to get off today. But I tell you a guy that's on today, and that's Dale Jarrett. He is walking through this field right now. He's putting a lot of cars a lap down early. Rusty Wallace is not too far back there either. He's been coming up through there, closing in on Dale Earnhardt Jr. Looks like a Ford kind of day to me.
We're at lap 92 right now. What we have to remember is most of the leaders were on pit road about lap 36, so we're about 8 to 10 laps away from pit stops. There's another little group of cars that's about to get lapped, like Jeff Green in the 30. They were on pit road about lap 50. They'd love to see all the leaders cycle through those green flag stops and then catch a caution.
Now, he's the one that hooked up the rear sway bar. Green was, I don't know, I bet he comes in and unhooks that thing before we go too much further.
You suppose?
That was just something to try, I believe.
Testing.
A Band-Aid.
Rusty Wallace started 28th. He has now moved up into the top 5. Let's get a heads up from his pit. Steve?
Mike with Billy Wilburn. Billy, you guys are flying. What have you done to this race car, and what will you do on the next stop?
Well, we made a tire pressure adjustment at that 35-lap caution, and he's pretty happy with it right now. I don't think we'll make any adjustments unless the sun's come out now. If that's made a change on the car for him, we might play with some tire pressure for this next stop. But he hasn't said anything so far, so we're probably going to stay just like we are.
And more likely, Larry, they ease the air pressure down just a little bit. Just a little bit, and the 31 car is in. He got lapped, and so he came on pit road. But the crew chiefs will ease that air pressure down as they go along. Here comes the 19.
Yeah, just lower that air pressure. It'll just give them more grip on a longer run.
And as the track gets hotter, the tire pressure will build up a little bit more, so you got to start it out a little lower.
The only downside, car won't drive very good first couple of laps when you go out there on a green flag stop.
Pole sitter on pit road, Bill Elliott.
Yeah, the 19 came in, and Bill's right here behind him.
Larry, this a little early considering we've had 2 cautions?
A little bit, but a lot of these Dodges, we've seen the fuel mileage has not been exactly what some of the other cars are getting. Matt Yoakum.
Well, Larry, Bill Elliott came on the radio talking to his crew chief, Mike Ford, as he counts him down into his pit, about how the car has started to go from neutral to tight up off. So they are going to make a wedge adjustment. Bill Gould with the wrench, who actually during the off week went back to Ray Evernham's old stomping grounds, Wall Stadium in New Jersey, and won his first ever feature a street stop. They also made an air pressure adjustment in on both right side tires to help that car turn. 14.7 seconds. Good stop.
Kyle Petty is in. Now that's another Dodge. And Michael Waltrip.
When you're making a lot of power, when you're producing a lot of power in the hood, you're going to burn a lot of fuel, and then the gear ratio.
Right, the Dodges tend to pull a little lower gears. That'll use a little more fuel, more RPMs.
Heavy traffic, rush hour in Texas at 98 laps.
And a lot of cars come on pit road now, so, you know, it's like first time one good car comes in, here they all come.
Jimmy Johnson's in, Kurt Busch is in. Rick Mast is in, and Stacy Compton, Terry Labonte. As you watch Michael Waltrip stop. Matt?
Mike, a number of adjustments on Michael Waltrip's Napa car. Chad Walter did a track bar adjustment. They made a wedge adjustment on the left side of the car as Michael Waltrip is down and away. 16.8 seconds.
There's Jimmy Johnson. Shauna Robinson's come to the pit. That's about a quarter of the field that's been in.
Be ready, go, go, go!
There's Jerry Nate doing the 25 car. Of course, he was lapped a little bit earlier.
Chad Knaus on the radio talking to Jimmy Johnson.
And Dale Jarrett just keeps mowing him down. Ricky Rudd takes over second place, 1.5 seconds back.
Tony Stewart, the 20 car, comes to pit road. You know, I'm going to anticipate Mark Martin running 5th. He will lead a lap here. Those Rouse cars normally get better fuel mileage than anybody.
Frank Kimmel is in, and so is Jimmy Spencer.
Now Mark's up to 5th.
Break left now.
See, what I don't like here is Jimmy Spencer in the 41, Tony Stewart in the 20. If I was their crew chiefs, I'd have talked a little bit, and I'd have tried to get these cars on pit road in separate laps.
What we don't see from that angle, though, Larry, is Spencer. He's way at the back of that pit box, so if he beat Tony out, he'd have clear room to swing out. But you're right. Ideally, you'd stop on a different lap than the car right in front of you. Here's our point standing runner-up Kenseth, along with Jeff Gordon, Bobby Labonte, and Johnny Benson on pit road.
And these are fairly good-sized pit boxes.
Here comes Jarrett.
And his teammate followed.
Dick Berggren.
Well, Jeff Gordon has moved forward today. He's had a very good run after starting in the back of the pack. He had been running in the 13th spot just before this pit stop. Dale Jarrett is going to be coming into pit right behind him. Jarrett, strongest car in the field so far today. Virtually no change necessary to the car. He says he's just a bit tight coming off the corners. That's not so bad. It's better when he's in the lead than when he's in traffic, however. Traffic does seem to bother the car. So far, 4 tires stopped. Everything's just fine.
Ricky Rudd out, as well as Jeff Burton, Buckshot Jones, Rusty Wallace, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. come to the pits.
And guess who just led that lap?
Mark Martin.
Mark Martin.
Sterling Marlin is in as well. Steve?
Like Rusty Wallace said, they contemplated taking a piece of tape off the nose to affect the handling. Rusty Wallace said, no, let's leave it the way it is. 4 tires, Dennis Terry on the front tires, Rob Ford on the rear, to Matt Yoakum.
And Dale Jr. is already in for service. They made a track bar adjustment. was still tight up off the corner. He couldn't get the car to turn. And Junior's gone.
Mark Martin gives up the lead to Pitt along with Kurt Busch and John Andretti.
Dave Blaney in the 77, Ricky Craven in the 32. They come to pit road.
Dick Berggren.
Well, Mark Martin is now pitting. They called him into his pit stall. He is pitted out of the lead. A strong race car here in Texas. Martin, always a contender here at Texas. He has won almost half the stock car races he has ever run in this place, given his incredible success in the Busch Series. Martin, a good, strong pit stop.
Ryan Newman comes to pit road.
He had inherited the lead, got his 5 bonus points for leading.
And Kenny Schrader also peels off the turn 4 banking to pit. Steve?
And they've just made a track bar adjustment on the 12 car of Ryan Newman. Left side tires going on. Good stuff for Ryan Newman.
That pretty well cycles us through. We're still waiting on Hut Strickland, Steve Park, Kevin Harvick, Mike Skinner, and Jeff Green, along with Ward Burton and Elliott Sadler. Those are the drivers who have not yet pitted.
Boy, Bobby Labonte got a run off of 2 over there, while Skinner and Harvick were side by side and took them both.
Skinner and Harvick on old tires, Labonte on new tires.
And it will be a few laps before they come in, because remember, they were some of the cars that pitted about lap 50, so they had about 7 or 8 extra laps that they could run, hoping for that caution flag.
Hut Strickland, driving a Bill Davis Dodge, has taken over the lead here in Texas at 106 laps. Leader Hut Strickland made a pit stop, and Kenny Schrader had to come back in to remove this wrench.
And it cost you a lot of time. The Steve Park in the 1 car who had went up there and taken the lead before pitting had to come back to pit road. He had a lug nut missing off the left front.
And now Kevin Harvick, the last driver to pit, comes onto the pit lane. Jeff Green just completes his stop. So Harvick picked up the lead. That'll hand it over to, well, now I said the last driver, but Elliott Sadler and Ward Burton have yet to come in. Excuse me. So here's Harvick.
Harvick could run about 7 or 8 laps longer than some of the other guys could, because he had pitted on the second caution that we had about lap 49 or 50. Hoping for that caution. Not unusual to see Elliott Sadler out there. Those guys being a Roush motor, they get good gas mileage like the Roush cars. You know, we want to talk about pit stop efficiency under green flag. Yeah, the pit stop's important. From here to here, you have to do 45 miles an hour. But from coming on to pit road and leaving, it's open season. Look at DJ. Look at the difference in him, and look at Dale Earnhardt Jr. versus his teammate Ricky Rudd. Ricky Rudd had the better pit stop. DJ did a better job of getting on pit road and off pit road.
Yeah, I was watching Larry, and the reason why, and it's a great job on the spotter's part, there were no cars behind him when he came off the racetrack. So he was able to take a real wide arc and come down on pit road with a lot of speed.
Now Elliott Sadler's in double trouble. He's the race leader, but as soon as he pits, see the car right behind him, Dale Jarrett's going to pick up the lead, and Sadler, when he comes back on the racetrack, might be a lap down.
Yes, he very well may. And I want to explain that lap. What that is, that's actually 2 laps. It's crossing the start-finish line, going around the racetrack, coming to pit road to make the pit stop, leaving and come back around. I think where the real difference is, Darrell, who will attempt to run it the fastest through 3 and 4, still get to pit road and get to 45 miles an hour safely.
Yeah, I like Formula One racing on speed, and Michael Schumacher is an absolute genius when it comes to running a really fast lap just before he brings his car into the pit lane, and he gains a ton of time.
He's the world's best at getting in the laps. So for ease of explanation, Larry, we'll call that the in lap and the out lap.
2 laps combined.
Put together.
With the pit stop.
As they call it in Formula One.
For Rusty Wallace in the 2 car, he just drove by Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Bill Elliott. That's a pass for the 4th position.
Ward Burton has made his pit stop. So Elliott Sadler, who, as Larry pointed out, is out of sequence with some of the leaders, has been passed by Dale Jarrett.
I just think it's incredible, Larry, that the guys that came here and tested, and Rusty Wallace, you never hear him talking much about testing. He'll usually let Ryan Newman go do the testing. But he came here, they worked really hard, and man, it's paying off.
Well, and the reason it's paying off, we've talked about it several times, nobody else other than teams that came here and tested got to make any long race runs for lack of practice yesterday.
So Jarrett has taken the lead. from Sadler on the racetrack. Ricky Rudd third, Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Bill Elliott, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, the top 10. And you see that Sadler on those worn tires is well off pace with the rest of the leaders.
But he is, but he's doing all he can to hang with Dale Jarrett, because when he does pit, he wants to be right there with the leader when he comes down pit road.
Fastest man in town that lap, Ryan Newman. Rusty Wallace working Jeff Burton.
Clear.
And now Burton has gone a lap down.
Boy, I tell you, just from a driver's perspective, I just got how they jump back in that throttle so early. It just creates so much corner speed.
Outside is clear. Clear.
I mean, he's not even to the center of the corner and he's picking the throttle up. That's a product of a lot of grip.
Inside. Your call.
Look in the upper right corner of your screen and how he is eating into Dale Jarrett's lead.
All right, bud, at 28 seconds place in front of you. Clear all around.
Well, let's see. We got a Ford first, a Ford second, a Ford third, a Ford in fourth. Kurt Busch is in a Ford in seventh. Mark Martin's in 10th in a Ford.
Let's show you the interval. There is Jarrett and Rudd right there, and Wallace gaining on the second place car.
And I think, Mike, that a Ford is really good for this racetrack because it's balanced well. They can run enough tape on the nose to keep the front down, and they got good drag numbers. They make a lot of power.
3 Fords at the front of the field trying to put Chevrolet 0 for 6 for the season.
And Elliott Sadler's trying to run 3 more laps to make it on less stops than everybody else.
Past 1/3 distance here in Texas. Dale Jarrett leading mile by 3.5 seconds over Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace, Earnhardt Jr., Elliott, Kurt Busch.
And we need to get pit producer Pam Miller, if you could get up here right away with some double A's, or maybe even a backup calculator, because this and what Larry's got will not last the whole race.
It's been smoking, had it.
I'm telling you, we're not even halfway into the race
but
yet.
You always have to figure a race like this. It has a green flag look to it. Yeah, as a crew chief, you don't worry about it. You just keep driving for it.
Shut up and drive, right?
I'm going to tell you what kind of strategy. And I don't think it'll pay off. Maybe should this thing go green for Elliott Sadler to win the race because he's 2 laps down. But there's no question he ran 70 laps that time. He has to run 71 more time, 71 laps twice, and he could make this race on 1 less stop than everybody else.
But if you're going to keep falling laps behind, I mean, so what?
Robert Yates is working his stopwatch and doing his own calculations. Now, the way Sadler got 2 laps down, by staying out on worn tires, Dale Jarrett on fresh tires was able to catch him. When Sadler pitted, Jarrett had already passed him for the lead. Pitting under green, he lost a lap. So
it's a downside. You maybe won't turn it into a win, but you could turn it maybe from a 20th place finish to a top 10 finish.
I guess it would depend on who you're racing. Maybe he's not racing Dale Jarrett. You know, maybe he's looking for a top 10 or so finish, using that strategy against cars that he thinks he can beat. That was one thing I always try to tell Jeff and the other guys is, don't tell me about Dale Jarrett. Tell me about people I can beat, because I can't beat him.
We're running on record pace. The race record set in 1999, 144 miles an hour. Right now, the average speed, almost 157.
Lap speeds are about 29.80. That's what Jarrett's running. That's down, what, Larry, 2 seconds from qualifying speed.
2 seconds, and that's about 15 laps on fresh tires.
And the speeds have come up a little bit from what they were earlier in the race, and I think that's just because the track's starting to come in, as they say.
Jimmy Johnson looking for his 5th straight top 10 finish.
Guy's consistent, man.
DW, he's currently riding in the 7th position. His crew chief is Chad Knaus. Chad, you made a track bar adjustment on the last stop. How is your race car now?
It's pretty good right now. The Lowe's Chevrolet is just running really great. Jimmy's doing a good job. We were a little tight, so we made a track bar adjustment, freed him up a little bit. Early on in the run, it's a little bit unstable, but as the air pressure builds up, it's really good. The biggest problem we got right now is all the lap traffic. You get behind somebody and you just lose so much time that it's difficult to stay up with the leaders. But I think we're going to have a good day today.
This team is due. He's currently riding in the 7th position. He's hoping to join Jeff Burton and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is drivers to score their first wins here at Texas.
Hey, here's your Texas two-step.
Yeah.
Corpus Christi natives, Bobby and Terry Labonte.
And they're running back there in 15th and 16th position. And for Bobby Labonte, that's not a bad place to be. He's the kind of guy to lay back there like that, and so is his brother Terry. But at the end of the day, you look up and you say, how'd they get in the top 10?
But you know, out of 5 races, this is the only 2 guys that has finished in the top 10. 4 of those races, the 2 brothers, Bobby and Terry Labonte, at their home racetrack.
Dave Blaney has been working hard to stay on the lead lap. He is the 20th place car. And now, Ricky Rudd back up into 2nd place. That puts both of Robert Yates' cars in the top 2.
And I believe someone woke up the sleeping giant because, buddy, today they're there.
Let's see if it was Dick Berggren.
Well, Dick Berggren didn't wake up the sleeping giant, but Robert Yates probably did. My question for you, Robert, is car 28, Ricky Rudd, tested here. Dale Jarrett did not. How much of a benefit did Dale Jarrett get from that test his teammate did?
Well, that's a great big plus that we came here and tested. The 28 did the test. I'm sure that really helped us on qualifying and even in the race. We got to do about 1 race run to get some feel for this track. However, we don't want to forget that Dale Jarrett won this race last time. So a lot of our modeling came from last time, what we've learned since last year. Yeah, I want to give 28 a lot of credit, but at the same time, I think the 28 got a lot of credit from 88.
What a great politician. Good job, Robert.
And even on qualifying day in practice on Friday, the 88 car was struggling, made major changes before qualifying based on information from the 28 car and qualified 5th.
And I remember from the qualifying show, Dale Jarrett walked over and gave Ricky a big hug and said, thanks a lot. And Ricky said, that's the way 2 cars are supposed to work. 2-car teams are supposed to work.
Jarrett's win here last year was his 2nd of the season. He'd also won at Darlington. Then he won the following week at Martinsville, and then in July at Loudon, his final victory of the year.
Now Larry's going to love this, Mike, but this is typical drivers. They all complained for 2 days about being cloudy, overcast, and raining. Now they're all complaining about the sun being out there. My car won't drive good. The sun came out.
I tell you what, how about Kurt Busch? Winner from Bristol 2 weeks ago in the 97 car. Started 19th. He's up to 5th, just past Bill Elliott for the 5th place position, all over the back of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Talk to Jimmy Finney as we look at the interval on the Fox tracks right now. He's about a half a lap behind leader Dale Jarrett. Seems to be holding there about 14.75 seconds. Jimmy Finney said, let me tell you something. This kid is the real deal.
He is.
He gives great feedback on the race car. He knows what he's looking for in a race car, and I think he proved at Bristol he'll race anybody.
He will. If you'll rough up Jimmy Spencer, you are the man.
Here we see his miles per hour on the Fox track, down to about 160, down in the middle of 1 and 2.
Of course, that could be the best thing they could tell him, too. Jimmy Spencer's closing in. You better pick it up.
He's the 5th place car. We talked about how well the Yates cars are doing, 1st and 2nd. Another multi-car team owner is not having such a great day, Richard Childress.
Man.
You're riding with Robbie Gordon. Just ahead of him is Jeff Green. And a little bit further up the line is Kevin Harvick. The Childress cars are 29th, 30th, and 31st, 2 laps down.
Not the weekend these guys were looking for. And on the contrary, the Busch Series teams of Harvick and Jeff Green and Johnny Sauter had great runs in Saturday's race. Richard Childress, he's been gone for about a week and a half. Went to the Northwest Territory up around Antarctica hunting polar bear, but he came home bearless.
Wow. Ricky Rudd is mowing down Dale Jarrett. It's less than half a second now, 1st to 2nd place. As you saw Rudd looming in the rear camera vision.
But I tell you the other thing, these 2 guys, he's obviously closing in, but there's cars that are right in the grasp of these 2 guys right up ahead of them that are like our 15, 16, 17, 18 place cars. These guys are lapping the field in a hurry.
And I think that's the thing. Dale Jarrett in 88, he's really starting to lap a lot of cars. Here you see Ricky Rudd right up on the rear bumper. He's starting to lap a lot of cars, and his car's not driving good. We heard our guys report that from the pits. In traffic, his car will not turn, as we see so many times.
Starting to look inside, 2x2 inside behind the 28, be clear all around.
Johnny Benson spotter.
That's a 19th place car, so we have 18 cars left on the lead lap, about 20 laps from halfway.
Just went by Stacy Compton. Like I say, just right, they're in turn 3, out for turn 4. Right here comes Jeff Gordon and a whole bunch of people that they better pick up the pace if they can.
Now this leaves us just 17 cars on the lead lap, and 17th is Bobby Labonte. His teammate Tony Stewart is 9th. Steve?
Mike, he started 29th, but his feedback to crew chief Greg Zipadelli is, hey, we were too loose at the start of the run. Now we're too tight at the end. We need to balance the car out for the long run. What they're considering doing is taking a spring rubber out of the left rear spring and making a wedge adjustment. Matt Yoakum.
Steve Scott Deal, the car chief for Tony Stewart, was actually down in the 18th pit of Bobby Labonte's talking to Jimmy Makar, and they're going to do the same exact thing. He is extremely tight. They started the race on sticker tires. The first stop they went to scuffs, which means that it's a set of tires that has a heat cycle through them. On the last stop, they went back to stickers. They're waiting for a caution so that they can pull that spring rubber out of the left rear. But Labonte is complaining the car is just tight. It will not turn.
Okay, Larry, and you know this. When you pull that rubber out of the left rear, that's like taking wedge out of the car. And it's a lot. So you got to put a little bit of wedge back in it to kind of balance the car back out. Everything you do is done in series of things, combinations.
And where you soften that spring, it really helps drive the car off the corner. We want to show you what we're talking about. It's just a piece of rubber donut that's put in the spring. Rear spring, normally it'll be worth about 15 or 20 pounds. We're going to show it in the right rear. Works the same in the left rear. There it is. You just reach in there under pit stop, changing tires. You pull that rubber off. It automatically softens that rear spring. You put it in, it stiffens up, but we're hearing a lot of people pull those spring rubbers out of the left rear. A lot of teams have those built-in adjustments, knowing they was going to have to make adjustments as this race unfolded.
Now Ricky Rudd is right up to the rear bumper of Dale Jarrett as they hit this big pack of traffic. You see now Rudd has given Jarrett 2 or 3 car lengths of room to try to pick his way through there. 153 laps complete. Teamwork at work. 58 laps complete. Green flag pit stops have begun. Bill Elliott, Jerry Mayfield, Jimmy Johnson, and Kyle Petty have made green flag pit stops. Here's today's halfway recap brought to you by Coors Light. Pole sitter Elliott led the first 13 laps. The Yates drivers, Rudd and Jarrett, combined for the next 88 laps. 7 cars each took the lead during the green flag pit stops the first round. Dale Jarrett got back out front. And of the 200,000 folks expected for yesterday's race, 180,000 of them came back.
I tell you what, when these guys turn down off a pit road up here, man, I've held my breath a couple of times.
He's been watching tapes of Michael Schumacher. That's what it is. Matt?
Stay on the bottom. Stay on the bottom.
Mike, earlier in the race, Ward Burton tried to cut down, as you were mentioning, DW, how that is a little terrifying there making that cut. He started to cut down and couldn't make it, so then he went an extra lap 2 pit stops ago.
Here comes the leader in, Matt. Yeah, here they all come. 28, 88, 18.
Jeremy Nadeau's been in. Robbie Gordon, Terry Labonte, Stacy Compton, Michael Waltrip have all made stops. Bobby Labonte follows the 2 Yates cars down pit road. Dick?
Well, Dale Jarrett is going to take a round up on the left rear. That's the only change that is a very minor change. Darren Jolly from North Carolina carries the front tires. Iowa's Mike Trower is going to change front tires. Jason Sheets from Indianapolis changes rear tires. And Jeff Knight from North Carolina carries the rear tires. Barry Price from South Carolina, he's putting the fuel in it, and it's another strong stop for Dale Jarrett. Right behind him, the 28, his teammate Ricky Rudd. And here's Jeff Gordon, car number 24. 4 tires plus a minor air pressure adjustment. The wrench is also in the back window of Jeff Gordon's car. Their primary goal coming into today's race, keep all the fenders on the car. The only time they've done that here in Texas was last year when they finished 5th. Slow on the left rear. Gordon's gone.
Jimmy Spencer, John Andretti.
Here comes the 2 car.
Are in along with Tony Stewart, Johnny Benson, Matt Kenseth, Buckshot Jones, and the race leader for the first time this year, Rusty Wallace, also comes to pit road. Steve?
Yeah, they were considering taking some spring rubbers out, Mike, but they decided the last second just to take 4 tires. Rob Fuller on the rear tires. Dennis Terry changes the front tires. Rob Jones is the jack man, and Doug Ingold slams the gas in there. 4 tires, no other adjustment for Rusty Wallace.
I know we're showing pit stops, but Ricky Rudd and Dale Jarrett, they actually had equal pit stops, but Ricky beat Dale off pit road and led a lap. Dale Jarrett just went by him down in turn 1 and 2.
Looks like Ricky, the cars are very similar, but look like Ricky's gets better on a longer run. Not by much, but a skosh.
Just a little bit.
Frank Kimmel and this man, our most recent winner, Kurt Busch.
And you heard him say they were talking about doing something that you can't work on a car under a green flag stop and stay in the lead and stay up with the leaders.
When you need to make adjustments, you have a set of green flag adjustments, which gets you off pit road as quick as you can. Yellow flag adjustments, which would, be pulling spring rubbers out and putting them in.
Exactly. And the driver will call and say, hey, here's what I want you to do. But that's where the old crew chief.
Ryan Newman is also in as Busch has a little trouble getting out of his pit. And Mark Martin comes on to pit road along with Jeff Burton, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and the 29 car of Kevin Harvick. Dick Berggren.
Mark Martin coming in for his pit stop. His year has improved all year long. He's done better than he has done last year. We're going to put 4 tires in the car, just 1 round into the right rear of the automobile, make it handle just a little bit. So far, it's a nice, smooth pit stop to match.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. already in. They're going to make a wedge adjustment. His car is still tight. It's Tony Leary Jr., Dale Jr.'s cousin, hits the last lugs on the left front.
Sterling Marlin leads the lap for the first time today.
Gets those valuable 5 bonus points, add to that championship, Steve Burns.
Hey, Larry Mack, they're going to make a track bar adjustment on the 40 car. Clay Robinson on the front tires, Nate Cannon on the rear. Dwayne Trammell carries the rear tires. Mike Houston carries the front. Rick Learling is a jack man. 4 tires for Sterling Marlin. 15.1 seconds.
Dave Blaney's in, so is Ricky Craven. As green flag pit stops continue, Dale Jarrett's taken back over the lead, along with Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace. As we cycle through green flag stops, Mike Skinner has climbed up to the 4th position now as pit stops continue. We are 166 laps complete here in Texas. We are back and under caution at Texas. Ward Burton has pounded the wall at turn 2. You see the window net is down. That's his signal to the rescue crews that he is okay. Well, the right front of that Dodge is not.
No, and I talked to Ward last night, and he was concerned about his car for today. He said he didn't think it was going to be that good. I don't think he was anticipating anything like this.
All right, you're going to have to look way, way up here. That's where Ward Burton is, all the way up there in turn 1. This is looking out of Sterling Marlin's car, the 40 car. There you see it.
There's the smoke.
Darrell has all the looks of either cutting a right front tire down, maybe run over something, or just blew the right front tire out. Awfully early in the run, though, to blow a right front.
Yeah, he just let it ride around there and come to a halt.
That's definitely the safest place. Don't come back across the racetrack if you can help it.
Ward is okay. A little bit of fire under hood of that car. And here is Marlin coming to pit lane along with Jeff Green and Mike Skinner, who did not pit under the green flag. Terry Labonte's in, Brett Bodine, and Matt Kenseth. The timing of the caution was a great one for this man, Mike Skinner.
He was running in 4th position because he hadn't pitted, and Jimmy Spencer got his lap back along with Jeff Green, who had not pitted. He was sitting there running 9th. So a real break for Jeff Green and Mike Skinner.
Yeah, then good for Mike Skinner. He's had a tough year, and Jeff Green in there working on that car, got it fixed, and he's back in the show.
So we're under caution just past halfway in the Samsung RadioShack 500 in Texas. Be right back. For those of you with maybe just a tiny bit of gray in your hair that are tired of all this recent talk of young guns, allow me to point out that the first 3 running drivers in this race are 45 years old, and our pole sitter, Bill Elliott, is 46.
Now, why did you look at my hair? There's not enough up there to be gray.
I was looking at you because I thought you'd have a snappy comeback for that.
Yeah, I did to you.
And you did.
No. Let's see if we can get the race leader on the telephone here. What do you say?
Why not?
Hey, DJ, this is DW up here in the booth. You got a copy, bud?
I got you, DW.
I would call this a Sunday ride if it wasn't Monday. How you doing out there?
I'm doing great, thanks. I tell you what, Todd Barrett and the guys have got this UPS Ford
it's almost on a rail. We tried a couple of different things to help it. Feel a little bit tight off the corner, especially after I get about 35, 40 laps on my tires. But doesn't seem like my tightness is quite as bad as a lot of the others. So just see what we do. We got a long way to go.
Well, I got to say, that thing is mowing them down. It looks like it's got a lot of steam on the hood. You're doing a great job out there, bud. Keep it up.
Dale Jarrett has led 114 of the 175 laps so far. Dick Berggren.
Well, in all the pit stops of the day so far, over 500 tires have been changed. This is the first one, at least, that I have seen that indicates any problem at all. This is the right front that just came off Elliott Sadler's car. As you can see, there's some clear damage here. Tire, however, has held up. And let's give a tip of the hat to Goodyear, who has come in here with a brand new tire on a very tough racetrack on tires. And so far, this is the only problem, at least, that we've seen in the pits.
Here's what I think is happening. I think the track is getting a lot of rubber down, Larry. I think that these guys are really working on that right front tire, and what are they going to do about it?
Well, the thing about it, I think it could be a product of too much negative camber. You lean the top of the right front tire in. That puts the footprint right there on the racetrack on the straightaway. But in the corner, it puts the whole footprint on. Well, you like it, more negative camber will help that car to turn, but too much, it works on it inside too much. And how you adjust it is put that spacer right there and there, leans that tire in. More negative camber will make the car turn too much on these long straightaways. It just wears the inside of the tire out.
Yeah, it just wears it out. It puts a lot of heat in it, what it does, and it finally will fail the sidewall, and that's why the tire blows.
And it's measured in degrees. You would love to run about 4.5, but you can't dare hardly run over about 3 degrees, 2.5 to 3 degrees. Plus, you put a little bit longer arm on it, and that keeps it from gaining so much when the wheel travels.
Well, my favorite thing to say in Goodyear's defense is they don't make bad tires. We just do bad things to them.
Good day for our older drivers. Good day for our Koch family of drivers. 3 of them in the top 5. Jarrett, Rudd, and Elliott. Tony Stewart anchors the top 10 right now. Bobby Labonte, second of the cars, 1 lap down, and Jeff Burton. And there's the rest of the gang. We are under caution at 176 laps. Ward Burton okay after a bad crash in turn 2. Welcome back to Texas. We're a lap or 2 from going back to green in the Samsung RadioShack 500. 178 laps have been completed. Let's have a look back at Saturday's results in the Busch Grand National race, brought to you on Fox by Old Spice. The rain came. Jeff Purvis had gambled on a 2-tire stop, and that proved the difference. He got out of the pits ahead of Jack Sprague. They were unable to restart due to rain. Joe Nemechek finished 3rd. Scott Briggs and Jeff Green. Bit of controversy in that one, again involving Sprague and Spencer in their race to the championship. The point leader will be absent next week. Jeff Green will be at Martinsville for the Winston Cup race. Sprague, Biffle, LaJoy, and Keller. And now the Craftsman Truck Series point standings, brought to you by Sears, where Ted Musgrave and Robert Presley are tied after 2 of 22 races. Brian Rose, David Starr, Carlos Contreras, the top 5.
Evidently, Greg Simpendelli, Tony Stewart's crew chief, and Tony must have had a little consultation. They decided to come to pit road right here, right there. You'll see a spring rubber. They pulled that spring rubber out of the right front, soften that right front spring. Again, this track's getting tighter and tighter. The softer you can run that right front spring, get that rubber out of there, the better the car will turn from the middle off.
Yeah, but you got it. You look at this thing. I mean, it's still burning.
Goodness. That's what's left of Ward Burton's Caterpillar Dodge. As he has brought out this caution flag, we're now at lap 180. Welcome back to Texas. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip. There are older drivers, there are bolder drivers, and there are lots of older boulder drivers today. Look at that. In 6 of the top 7 positions, there they are. Another fellow at the track had a birthday today, becomes a not-so-young gun. That would be Matt Yocum.
Well, thanks, Mike. Bill Elliott last pitted on lap 156, and his crew chief is Mike Ford. Punching the computer. Mike, you made some significant air pressure adjustments on the last stop. Has it helped the tightness?
Well, without getting any practice for race trim, thought the racetrack would start off a little bit free, and first run our car was pretty good, so we knew we were going to have to free it up as the day went. Getting to the point and getting a little bit too tight, and we need some significant changes to run with those front few cars. We made them. Car seems pretty good, but expect some more from the Dodge dealers in Intrepid.
How are you doing on fuel mileage today?
Well, we compared this to Atlanta, without having any practice for race conditions. Compared it to our Atlanta notes, and we're a little bit off of that. So, everybody's inside their own fuel window right here, and we feel like we'll be all right.
Bill Elliott on pace to score his first top 5 this year. And Mike, let me know, so in about 30 years when I get my AARP membership, you'll tell me all the benefits that I'll have.
The best thing about birthdays at this age? You keep having them.
Yeah, you know what else? You're going to get a spanking from Mrs. Walter, too.
Daryl, I had nothing to do with it. Kevin, it was all peer pressure. He made me go to your coach.
Explain that to her next week.
I think you need to explain why Smitty didn't lock the coach.
Green.
Saved by the green flag.
152 laps to go. Buckshot Jones in the 44 car, lap down, trying to get his lap back. He's sitting there in 18th position, 17 cars on the lead lap.
When was the last time we got to halfway in a race and had this few cars on the lead lap?
It hadn't been any times at Texas, I guarantee you. Looking at Bobby Labonte's car, the 18 car, he's a lap down as well in 19th.
We've had 2 long runs of green flag racing, and that's what's put a number of cars down. Oh, boy, goodbye. Dale Earnhardt Jr. backs it into the fence in turn 1.
Hard contact.
I was just fixing to say that one of the most tense times, here comes Jarrett. Is he going to give the 44 a break?
He raced him all the way back. Buckshot did not get his lap back. Neither did Bobby Labonte or Hut Strickland.
And it's a hard hit for Junior.
It really was, and I was just fixing to say it's so tense right now when you're up there, you're lap down, or you're trying to race with cars that are laps down.
Yeah.
He just told the crew chief he's okay. He's going to try to drive it back.
Taken out.
I don't think that thing will move. It might.
Good car, took you out. 49, it's in the way.
Sounds from the conversation.
She's still there because she never gives anybody a break getting in the corner.
Yep, like he had trouble with a lapped car.
Can you roll it there, DJ?
Well, he's going to take a hard hit here in the points. Come in here 6th in points with 3 consecutive top 4 finishes the last 3 races.
Well, they can try to straighten that thing out, but they're going to have to put a trunk lid on it because you can't go back on the track without a rear spoiler. And
I tell
may
you,
not get to pit road.
It ain't going to go. You can't back in the wall here and drive back. I don't think.
Shut it down.
It's going down the front stretch into turn 1.
Shauna Robinson down the inside there. Whoops.
Ooh, and she was pretty well up the racetrack.
Yeah. That's unfortunate for DJ.
And Daryl, that's what I hate about making a pit stop later on in a caution is putting yourself at the back of the pack and giving up that track position and putting you back there where things tend to happen.
Hard, man. I wish we didn't have that sound. Every time I hear that sound, I draw up, waiting for the hit.
Really wants to make you race that truck next weekend.
Oh, don't say that.
It's getting into turn 1.
Watch at the point of contact here, right there.
Yeah.
Now, there's a car being lapped. Here's a car well down near the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah.
And look at all the space there between the lapped car in the racing lane and the car that's trying to go around on the outside.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
It's a long way from the bottom of the racetrack to the top here.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. climbs out of the car. It'll take a minute getting his Hutchins device off. And it looks like he's okay.
He's holding his arm up there.
We're back. We're under caution at Texas. 187 laps complete. Cleaning up Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s wreck at turn 1, and he was favoring his arm as he climbed out of that car.
Yeah, I saw him holding his arm like that could be a shoulder blade or some issue with the seat, I'm sure.
So here's our Subway race summary at 187 laps. 13 leaders, 15 lead changes. Dale Jarrett's led 126 laps. The average speed under green, 180. The race average speed now down at 141. And now that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is out of the race, we have 16 cars on the lead lap. Let's have another look at it here.
It doesn't get any prettier, I can tell you that.
Everybody bunched up 2 laps after a restart.
You just have this expectation as a driver that that car down on the inside is going to do everything it can to get out of your way.
Although I think what Larry said, we're just a couple laps on a restart, and all day Shauna's had trouble. She couldn't keep her car at the bottom of the racetrack. She was running up a little higher, and that's what Elliott Sadler saw as he went by.
We just need some way for the we need some way to gauge how hard a hit that is, because I mean on TV it doesn't seem like it's all that big a deal, but let me tell you folks, that thing backed in there, it's like getting hit up beside the hill with a ball bat.
When you're going backwards like that, Darrell, and you hear those tires squealing, I mean, I know it's happening so fast, but what are you thinking?
Well, you know you're going to hit. You kind of are hanging on, and you don't think anything. I mean, it's not like you process anything. You got to, if you have the presence of mind to lean back when you're going to hit backwards, that's the best thing to do. But you have somewhat of a tendency to lean forward, and that throws your head into the back of the seat.
195 miles an hour.
Oh, boy.
And wow.
What's this thing?
But impact well over 100 miles an hour. About 115 miles per hour. Coming back down the racetrack still at 50 miles an hour. Wow.
Cleanup continues. Dale Jarrett continues to lead Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace. We'll be back to Texas after this. Getting set for the restart, lap 191. 4 Fords out front. Jarrett, Rudd, Wallace, Busch. Then the Dodge of pole sitter Bill Elliott. You'll see them come up to speed with Fox Tracks as we go back to green.
Pace car brought him down at 55 miles an hour.
And Buckshot Jones gets his lap back from Dale Jarrett.
Up to 150-something miles per hour in the middle of 1 and 2, still climbing off turn 2.
Now Dale Earnhardt Jr. was favoring that left arm as he climbed out of the car. Let's catch up with him, Steve Burns.
Thanks, Mike. Dale just come out of the infield care center. Dale, you took an awfully hard hit. Are you okay?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. I stood in the gas and kept the car from really shooting up the racetrack and getting it all hard. But once you get turned around here, it's real hard. I mean, you're going to hit the wall. There's no way around that. But it's a shame. We had a good car. I think Shauna might have got into me a little bit. Didn't get down in the corner. I mean, I was kind of up a little bit. I don't know. I'm just real disappointed. You know, she's a good race car driver, and either they need to get her in a better race car so she can be more competitive, because she's it's hard dodging her every 15 laps.
Glad you're okay, Dale. Guys, also want to pass along, Ward Burton is also inside the infield care center. He's being held for a precautionary x-ray on his neck. He is alert, very aware of what's going on. They just want to make sure he's okay after the hard accident that he had in California last year.
Thanks, Steve. Brett Bodine has gone to the garage. Ricky Craven slid up the hill in turn 2. Something wrong with his car.
The 43 just took the 40 car to the wall down in turns 3 and 4. These restarts are treacherous, man. And watch Mark Martin down here. I mean, he gets taken to the wall in turns 1 and 2 to go the other end of the racetrack. Watch this. He just kind of wobbles right there just a little bit, and everybody takes advantage of it. He's got to get out of the throttle.
Lost some momentum.
Look at all those spots he lost. He just went to the other end down here, and our point leader just about bit the farm.
Now, look up here at the front. I think we had a little deal here after that last caution. Buckshot Jones wanted to race Dale Jarrett back to the line. Apparently Dale didn't give the message, so they said, well, look, on the restart, we'll let you go, but it may cost Jarrett the lead.
I think Dale Jarrett didn't seem to be quite as good on this restart.
Well, what we've heard, though, his car has not been good in traffic. He's been fighting behind Buckshot Jones, and now Rusty Wallace is taking the lead right here. Dale Jarrett's not done yet.
I think something, Jarrett must have lost a little momentum off the corner over there. Rusty got a run on him.
Rusty Wallace now leads for the second time today, and he has not led previously this season.
Well, he's got to be sitting in there smiling right now, because he is running good enough to win this race.
Wallace led a lap earlier under yellow, so
you know, I'm just not so sure that Dale Jarrett messing around with the 44 car there, being a nice guy, didn't cost him a lead.
And there's no doubt, guys, this track is changing. We started the race, we documented track temperature was 69 degrees. Even though the sun has not really come out, the track temperature is up to 84 degrees. A little bit of a product, just the cars running around for almost 200 laps. But it will change this racetrack.
Ricky Rudd now third. Let's go to his pit. Dick?
Now, car number 28, interesting radio traffic between Ricky Rudd, his spotter, and his crew chief, Michael McSwain. During all that caution time, they were talking about the possibility, the reasonableness of trying the upstairs, trying the top groove. They talked about how smart it would be to give a shot at that once the tires warmed up. We may well see that. As the conversation nearly concluded, McSwain told Rudd, be careful, you've got a top 5 car. Rudd shot back, it's a top 3 car. Then he came back and said, we've got a car that can win.
That's like on further review and then on second thought.
I think it's also, you know, as we've talked throughout the day, it's probably a product of having come here to test 2 weeks ago.
Well, I tell you, we can't count this 97 car out. Kurt Busch back there in 4th position. He's right there on the tail of these guys, Ricky Rudd and Dale Jarrett, running in 4th spot.
Now, let me tell you something that I had noticed through the years, being a driver and watching these guys race. These young guys come on at the end of the day. Their conditioning, their age, all those things are in their favor in these 500-mile races on tracks that are really fast and tough like this is.
It's going to be interesting to see what Rusty Wallace does now. He's cleared the lap car of Buckshot Jones. He'd been running 29.25, which is about what Dale Jarrett and Ricky Rudd was running. Now he's out there in that clean air. We'll see how fast he runs.
Sterling Marlin told us this morning he runs 4 to 5 miles, what, 3 or 4 times a week, Darryl?
Yeah, you got to condition, and I know all the drivers do. But these young guys, I mean, just think about it, folks. You play golf or anything else. A 25-year-old kid out there on the golf course, and you're 50, 45, 50. Who's going to end up on the 18th green? Who's going to be in the best shape?
But Sterling told the local paper he had no plans to try the Boston Marathon. It doesn't pay anything. Well, here's your point battle. Kenseth, the runner-up. Marlin, the point leader, as we come here to Texas.
So right now, for
11th place. Thanks.
And that's a good run again for Mike Skinner. And what we have to go back to is the fact that they didn't pit under green a while ago, caught that caution. They were fixing to come to pit road, stayed on the lead lap, and now here he's up there in the 13th position, still on the lead lap at lap 202.
Former winner of this race, Terry Labonte.
Rusty Wallace is running some of the fastest lap times we've seen all day. 29:20 that lap, 29:30 that lap. So he's running some fast lap times and pulling away from Jarrett.
Talked about Jeff Gordon earlier back there. Didn't make up any spots when they started this race. Started way back in the 26th position. Now he's up here running for 6th, battling Ryan Newman.
Well, the cautions have worked in his favor. They've had a chance to work on the car. You got a smart driver like Jeff and a good crew chief like Robbie. They'll figure that thing out, and they'll get it better as the day goes on. And when you've been pitching at Texas as many times as he has, you got to be a little cautious, you know. Get the thing under you good before you start racing.
Last year, his first top 5 here. This is one of, I think, only 3 President Winston Cup tracks where Jeff Gordon has not reached victory lane.
But boy, Ryan Newman was able to get back to the throttle so much sooner off of turn 2. It just lunged off the corner, and he passes Jeff Gordon before they get to turn 3. Yeah. Right there, right in the center of the corner, beats him to the throttle. Looks like 3 or 4 spots.
Yeah, Jeff just kind of eased up out of the throttle, let him go back because he's a little quicker, and that's just being smart.
Gordon looking for his first top 5 since he won Kansas last year. Rusty Wallace leads Dale Jarrett by 1.3 seconds. 205 complete, 129 to go. Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, the top 5. 211 laps complete. 45-year-old Rusty Wallace, Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd ahead of a couple of the young guns. Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson there in 4th and 5th, and Ryan Newman 6th. What do you think today, DW? Old age and treachery, or?
Well,
youth and exuberance.
Obviously, those first 3 or 4 guys there, those first 3 have got great race cars, and they're going to be hard to beat. But you got Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman looming right behind them, lurking right there behind them. And Jeff Gordon kind of, in 7th place. It's going to be interesting to see if these young guys can get up here and challenge these old guys at the end of the day. And I don't mean old guys in an unkind way. I mean, it's the veterans versus the younger crowd, what we've looked at for most of the year.
Right now, Jimmy Johnson about a lap ago just passed Kurt Busch for the 4th position. So now Jimmy Johnson in the 48 and 4th, Kurt Busch in the 97s and 5th. All right, we want to compare some miles per hour here. And what we're going to do it as they go down in the middle of 1 and 2. Slowest part of the racetrack down in turn 1 and 2. This will be Rusty Wallace, the leader, and we're going to compare it to Dale Jarrett, who's running 2nd. We'll look at it at the other end of the straightaway here, maybe down in turn 3 and 4.
163.5 was the low reading on Rusty at that end.
There you see it right there. That was at the end of the straightaway. 4 miles per hour faster, Dale Jarrett was at the end of the back straightaway going off into turn 3 than Rusty Wallace. The overall lap times right now they're running is about the same. Jarrett was just a little bit quicker than Wallace at time, 29.68 to 29.75.
And that translates, Larry, to about a 6/100ths a second that Dale is gaining on Rusty per lap.
Ever so slightly. He's about 2 1/4 seconds behind.
Rusty's pulled out a pretty nice lead in a very short period of time over the 2 Yates cars. Jimmy Johnson hanging right in there behind him.
Clear. Good
8th
job.
place, Mark Martin moves underneath Bill Elliott.
Well, what happened to Mark? He got sideways down here, got loose down here in the middle of 1 and 2, and he lost a bunch of track position. A bunch of cars got by him. He's just working his way back up through there.
"16 cars on the lead lap, the product of 2 long runs of green flag racing that encompassed 2 pit stops under green. As now Jarrett tries to work past Buckshot Jones.
Clear, all clear.
And all those green flag laps have gotten a bunch of people in trouble, got them laps behind them based on pit strategy and their car not being maybe like they'd like for it to be.
And speaking of strategy, for the most part, everybody will have to make 2 more pit stops should it go green the rest of the way.
Mark Martin has moved up and caught Jeff Gordon.
Now, Mark's got a fast car. Watch his lap times, and like I said, he just got caught out of position down there a few laps ago, and he fell way back, but I think he's got a pretty good race car.
You can see he's quite a bit quicker than Rusty Wallace last time by.
There you see the interval up in the top right-hand corner right there. 10 seconds behind, about a third of a lap. About 7,300 down in the middle of 1 and 2, climbing down the backstretch. About 8,500. Falls back to about 7,200 down in the middle of 3 and 4. A little less RPMs in the middle of 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 because you didn't carry as much speed into turn 3 on the shorter backstretch. About 200 more RPMs, 192 miles per hour getting into turn 1 at the end of the front stretch. Interval staying about the same, about 10.5 seconds.
You know, we talk about being out front in clean air, and we saw how Dale Jarrett just took off most all day. But, you know, he's had a problem getting by that 44 car. And you know, Larry, sometimes certain cars upset your car more than others. A particular brand, maybe you can run good behind a Pontiac, but you can't run good behind a Dodge. And this Dodge seems to be giving Jarrett a ton of trouble to try to get around him.
And he's definitely losing ground to leader Rusty Wallace. It wasn't many laps ago. It was 2 1/4 seconds. Now it's over 3 seconds and losing more everywhere around the racetrack.
Yeah, his last lap was 0.3 of a second slower than Rusty's. Dick Berggren?
Dale Jarrett just keyed his radio and asked his spotter if they would please go to Buckshot Jones' spotter and see if he would give him a break. They'd like Buckshot to move over. It is so hard to pass here.
And he did just that. Here is Bill Elliott on pit road. Now, the Dodges have been stopping a little earlier under green. He's headed for Matt Yoakum.
And, Mike, they haven't got the best gas mileage as they would have liked, as Mike Ford mentioned earlier in the show. Bill Elliott comes in. One problem from Elliott, he came on the radio, is they're going to make a track bar adjustment. He said the car, the water temperature in the car has climbed to 300 degrees as he finally refires the car. Left side tires going on. They did make a track bar adjustment. He has been fighting, push the car stall in. It's still on the Jag now. He's down and away. A long stop for Bill Elliott, 18.8 seconds.
Now, they were just on pit road about 30 laps ago.
This is early, and I think it may have been unexpected because that was not a very good stop, and it didn't look like everybody was confused.
Yeah, actually, it's about 10 or 15 laps earlier than they should have been. They still will have to make another stop. You know, everybody we talked earlier has to make 2 stops. They just don't need a caution to come out right now.
Look at that 48 go by that 28 car as he marches forward.
Battle for third.
Boy,
Rudd's off the pace.
I think Rudd, either he's coming to pit road or something happened.
He just lost a lot of ground.
No, I think he's off the pace. Oh.
Did you get it?
Yeah, he just run a 31.54.
He's got something wrong.
Kurt Busch is in.
I wonder if some of these guys are all of a sudden experiencing tire trouble, Larry. They've let the air down. They got the rubbers out of the springs. The cars are sinking a little bit more.
Well, trust me, everybody knows that Elliott Sadler had a tire that was tore up. You can believe it went through all 43 pits. And so if they feel anything, if I've seen it as a crew chief, I'm going to tell my driver, you feel any vibration, you tell me because we're coming to pit road.
Well, that's 2 top 6 cars in just a couple of laps. So, Matt, let Bill Elliott stop.
Well, let's check in with Mike Ford. Mike, you were really close on fuel. Were you out of gas when Bill came in because the car was silent?
Well, I couldn't ask what you said, but you know, we came off turn 4. He felt it sputter, so he came on in. We planned on running a couple more laps to squeeze the fuel, but you know, he was pretty quick to make the call and hit pit road, and I think we'll be all right.
When are you going to stop next? Have you had a chance to calculate that yet?
I still can't hear what you're saying, but I don't know where that's going to pan out. These other guys are going to be stopping here pretty quick.
No problem.
Jimmy Johnson stopped. And we're corrected. It was not 30 laps ago that they were in. We'll update that for you in a minute.
But you know what I'm also seeing? Everybody, for the most part, was on pit road about lap 172. That's about 162 laps to go. With the flirtation of a little bit of tire problem, you know you have to make 2 stops. They're maybe dividing it out to about 54 to 55 laps a run. Dick Berger.
That's what's happening.
Well, they're not sure what's going on with Ricky Rudd's car. They think he has a throttle problem. There's been a good deal of chatter on the radio between McSwain, his crew chief, and Rudd. They do think that the throttle is hanging on. Meanwhile, the 88 has just radioed in. He's out of gas.
Larry, you're right. It was 55, 56 laps ago that they were in, that all these cars were in. Kevin Harvick's on pit road. Bobby Labonte.
88 slow down the back, y'all. He's out of gas. Larry, what happened here? Now, this is a little bit early for all these cars to be stopping. Are they running faster, running harder?
Well, we even documented that the race pace had picked up some speed a little bit, and you run faster, you use more fuel.
Well, Jarrett's out of gas. He radioed in, and he's coasting through 3 and 4 as we speak.
Ricky Rudd is in. Buckshot Jones is in. Jarrett is coasting in. And Rusty Wallace is running away. He and his teammate, Ryan Newman. Dick?
Well, they're going to try to do this as a normal pit stop for Ricky Rudd. The plan is to not open the hood and try to fix that throttle. He's been wiggling his foot around on the throttle linkage in hopes that somehow or another that's going to free it up. But boy, what a heartbreaker. Robert Yates, 2 cars with a shot to win the race. Dale Jarrett just comes by his teammate out of gas. Jarrett very angry on the radio, conversing with his crew about how this could have possibly happened to a car that had a chance to win the race. Still Mike, fuel going into Jarrett's car, 1 can in. Left side tires being changed. You can believe they're going to get every drop of fuel they possibly can into this car. Slow on the left rear. Oh, man. You just watch it go up in smoke as meanwhile the 24.
He can't get out.
Parks in front of him. Jarrett stuck in the pits. They have to back his car up. He loses still more time. Meanwhile, Gordon backs up. Holds him up again. Jarrett still on pit road.
Gordon had overshot his pit.
He had to back up. With each other at all.
Boy, a bad day turned worse.
Yeah, you cannot go across the line in front of your pit box. Gordon was in front of that line right there, and he had to back up before they could complete the pit work.
Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace's crew makes a flawless stop, gets him in and out in 14.7 seconds.
Good pit stop. His teammate Ryan Newman has assumed the lead here at lap 231. Now he's on pit road.
All of a sudden, the 88 and the 28, two team cars working together, dominate the first part of the race. Now here the 2 and the 12 are dominating the second part of the race.
Well, Dale Jarrett was frustrated, and I think we're all a bit surprised that suddenly the fuel mileage has gone in the dumper.
Yeah, Larry, what's up with this? You keep better notes than that. What's going on?
Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, Ryan Newman likes his race car the way it is. No changes at all to that number 12 car. Just 4 tires of gas. Same for his teammate, Rusty Wallace. And Newman's back underway.
Good stop for Newman as well. It hands the lead to Mark Martin. Tony Stewart is now second. Matt Kenseth, Sterling Marlin, Mike Skinner.
Did you mention Sterling Marlin was up in the top 5, 4th?
Well, we knew he'd be there eventually.
Sooner or later. Good run for Mike Skinner. Terry Labonte, Texas Terry, up to 6th place.
Got Brooks and Dunn there on Sterling's car. We should mention that's not just a merchandising tie-in, but Kix Brooks and
wave him off. Next time now, we're coming. You got a vibration.
Kix Brooks and Roddy Dunn race Legends cars, and they're pretty hard racers themselves.
They are. They make great music too.
That was Tony Glover we heard talking. Sterling Marlin evidently had radioed to him that I feel a little bit of vibration. You heard Tony Glover tell him, get in here to pit road. Let's get those tires off.
Pretty give a hand signal.
Mark Martin is in. He'll give up the lead to pit.
4,200.
Hut Strickland comes with him. Here comes Marlin.
4,200 on attack.
4 tires.
Matt Kenseth's the new leader.
Get away. 10, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Dick Berggren. Chassis change on Mark Martin. Now they go around to the left sides. Going to be a little slower than Rusty's stop by about a second and a half.
Get to the wall. Get all the way out. Get all the way out. Nice job, guys. Below the white line, all 4.
Terry Labonte comes to the pit lane. Labonte has had a good run today. He just climbed to 6th during this run, and now Tony Stewart is the leader.
Well, and the reason he's the leader, remember, he came back to pit road at lap 178 when they pulled that spring rubber out. He has about 15 to 17 laps extra on these guys as far as fuel.
Well, as far as the fuel was the way we were calculating it before they all ran out.
Yeah, Dale Jarrett, though, he ran 69 laps, and Darrell, that's 70 laps is about the window that most cars are trying to run.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll find out how fast his car is. See if he can race his way back in this thing.
Dale Jarrett did lose 2 laps to race leader Tony Stewart, coasting into the pits out of fuel. 238 laps complete in Texas. Tony Stewart leads Matt Kenseth. We're under caution at Texas. We'll show you why in a minute. First pit stops. Leader Tony Stewart. Second place Matt Kenseth and Mike Skinner. None of whom had stopped under green. Making their stops under the yellow here. That has now trapped all but the first 8 cars. A lap or more down.
And it's not because these guys were getting better fuel mileage, just they had pitted about 15 laps later than the other guys, so they were able to run further.
Let's show you why we're under caution. Robbie Gordon tried to take down the wall.
Boom, right front, down.
Turn 3. Now, just prior to Gordon getting into the wall, Rusty Wallace made what may turn out to be the move of the day as he chased down race leader Tony Stewart and on fresh tires drove on by. A lap later, Gordon brings out the caution.
That was a good break.
It was good for Rusty, but it was bad for fellas like Kurt Busch, Jeremy Mayfield, Johnny Benson, Stacy Compton, and Ryan Newman, and Mark Martin and Bill Elliott, who now find themselves a lap down.
Yeah, Rusty was the only car that pitted that now has stayed on the lead lap. Now, Ricky Rudd and Jimmy Johnson in the 48-28, what they've elected to do is stay out. That will put them on the tail end of the lead lap, hopefully get a caution shortly after the restart.
Boy, if you could predict cautions, you could be the man.
I guarantee you could.
You couldn't? You never could?
Well, I think the key right now...
I always had a Pam Jam.
The key right now is going to be who lines up next to Tony Stewart. And may have a chance.
Everybody's going to
get his lap back. No, I mean on the restart. Yeah. Who on the inside lane is going to have a chance?
And if you're at the tail end of the lead lap at the front, you have the option of either starting in the outside line or the inside line if you're at the front.
Well, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to be on the tail end of the lead lap. That leader's going to restart as far back as I can make him start.
Now, for all of your friends who had to go to work today, call them this afternoon and tell them that they'll see an encore presentation of the Samsung RadioShack 500 tonight at 7:30 Eastern and Pacific, followed by a special presentation of FX's new, critically acclaimed, gritty, hard-hitting drama, The Shield.
And honey, don't worry, I'm not going to come home and watch it again. When they have those
You're talking about the race or The Shield?
no, the race. When they have the replays, he said, "Why are you watching it again for?" That's just the way.
So 6 cars stayed on the lead lap, and a couple of more stayed out while those leaders pitted, so they'll be on the tail end of the lead lap right behind the pace car when we restart. The leaders come out of the pits, have to go to the tail end of the line, and that's why when they line up for one to go, those cars that stayed out end up on the tail end of the lead lap behind the pace car, but in front of the race leaders. It's confusing, but it's going to make it a tough job for Matt Kenseth and Tony Stewart with all those cars up in front of them. They're not going to make it easy for the leaders.
It's going to make Matt Kenseth restart this race in about 10th position on the racetrack, even though he's the leader.
And now is when you're sitting up there in front of that leader saying, "Oh, please, let there be a minor caution real quick."
Yeah, see now there's the pace car, and here are all these cars on the tail end of the lead lap up in this area on the outside lane. And if there were a caution, there's your leader Kenseth right there. Everybody up here would get the free pass and come around before the pace car picked up the leader again.
And it's their option, as I documented earlier, which line they get in. What I'm seeing, some of them are going to the outside, some of them going to the inside. But I'm like you, Darrell. I'd have been up there negotiating with these 9 or 10 spotters saying, where can we line up to keep that leader as far back? It would be Jimmy Johnson, Ricky Rudd, Ryan Newman, Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, Sterling Marlin, Jeff Gordon, Terry Labonte, and throw Dale Jarrett in the mix, which he has to make up 2 laps. He's at the tail end of 1 lap down.
See, Jimmy Johnson elected to take the inside on the restart, which is like being on the pole. So that's probably a smart move on his part. Gives him the preferred line into the corner. Got Ricky Rudd up on the outside.
We'll use Fox Tracks to help you keep track of the 2 race leaders, Matt Kenseth and Tony Stewart, as we get set for this restart.
And green.
I don't know if Jimmy Johnson didn't go or Ricky Rudd went too soon. Doesn't matter. They're still lap down or on the tail end of the lead lap. But boy, Rudd shot out there.
And there are your leaders on Fox Tracks in mid-pack. Oh, Rudd didn't get off turn 2 well at all.
No, he
I'm
did.
not so sure. I don't know what happened with him. I'm not so sure he might be in trouble here, guys. He took off awfully soon.
Right now, we still have about 6 or 7 cars out in front of the leaders. Right now, the leaders are actually side by side. Tony Stewart in the 20, Matt Kenseth in the 17. Tony Stewart goes below him, gets the lead going into turn 1. He is the race leader now.
Well, you know, they made that adjustment on that 20 car, took that rubber out of that right front spring, and the car's been running a lot better since they did that.
And coming in, taking that rubber out of the right front springs would enable him to stay out and catch his caution as well.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Jarrett got all squirreled up there.
Oh, he did. He about got the back end sucked out from under him. That could have been ugly.
And now he's going to pay the price because he's caught up high.
I didn't know it's caught up. He got a lot of catching up to do. Man, this was...
you got to see this again.
This is exciting right here. This got the 12 on the outside of him. He gets a wobbling just a little bit. Gets the back end swung out, and man, oh man.
Had his hands full.
So did Bill Elliott right behind him. Let's ride with Elliott through this.
That is breathtaking stuff, not just for Dale Jarrett, but for everybody around him.
Right now, the leaders just went back by him to put him 2 laps down.
And we talked about the track changing and what it was going to do. Cars that were good early in the race may not be so good late in the race, and I believe Jarrett's is a product of that.
Rusty Wallace working on Kenseth for second place. Not yet.
Rusty Wallace got a pretty good hot rod today. He's got a good chance of winning this race. Just the luck of the draw, you know, with Jarrett running out of gas, and then, you know, all of a sudden this race takes on a whole new look. Cars that were, we thought had this thing under control are not even factors now.
Rusty and Kenseth continue to battle back and forth here. This is a battle for second behind leader Tony Stewart.
Jeff Burton, unscheduled pit stop. Also Shauna Robinson. As Kenseth and Wallace go at it. Johnny Benson, the 10 car, is 1 lap down in 17th. Riding with Benson.
I believe Jeff Burton in the 99, he's got the, really hadn't heard much of a Texas stripe.
No, but it definitely scraped up against something.
Meanwhile, while Rusty Wallace and Matt Kenseth running side by side for second, Tony Stewart, our leader's out there running a half a second a lap faster than those guys in that somewhat clean air.
Smoke!
Ryan Newman, the 12 car.
Caution.
Caution is out. What a break for some of these guys.
The free pass will go to Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Ricky Rudd, Bill Elliott, Sterling Marlin, and Terry Labonte.
All those guys that were a lap down. Everybody except Dale Jarrett. I think Dale Jarrett, because of what happened to him off turn 4, is not going to be able to take advantage of this.
Nope, all those other drivers were on the tail end of the lead lap, out in front of the race leader. The caution flag picks up the leader. They get the free pass and come all the way around.
And that's what really hurt Dale Jarrett, Kurt Busch, those guys. The caution came out almost right on the leader. They didn't even have a chance to fight him to try to get back.
No chance to race back. Wow, how quickly things change.
So this will be a reset.
I'll let you cool down, Leroy.
88's 2 laps down. I think he'll probably come back down pit road and do his normal service and try to get back up here to the front maybe.
And because he's 2 laps down, he would have to restart in the inside. The only way you can restart in the outside line behind Tony Stewart if you were 1 lap down or on the lead lap.
Of the lead out, yeah. I got a feeling, seeing how he bobbled off turn 4, he might want to come in and work on that thing just a teeny bit. 99's going behind the wall too, guys.
5th caution of the day, lap 254. 80 laps to go.
Well, we about know the guys that made their lap up. They're going to be at the back of the lead lap. It's a free ride to pit road. Come get you 4 fresh tires. Now, there's 80 laps to go. Nobody could really make it from here. No more cars on the lead lap, DW. I believe I'd have you on pit road. Let's go ahead and get us 4 more tires.
And Tony is coming.
And Dale Jarrett in the 88 stayed out. He's trying to put as much distance as he can between him and the leaders back there.
But he has to stay out. He's not on the lead lap. He can't pit this time.
That's exactly right.
What he does next time.
Yes.
Dick Berggren.
Well, the KG veteran, Rusty Wallace, at age 45, has been this route many a time. He and his new crew chief, Billy Wilburn, have decided to pit for 4 tires and put fuel in it. The game plan, this will be the last stop except for a quick splash and go late. To Steve.
Well, Dick, right side tires only for Tony Stewart. He said he liked the car. It was free at the beginning of the run, but coming back to him, 9.7 seconds for Tony Stewart.
Stewart leads the charge off pit road, followed by Rusty Wallace and Jimmy Spencer. Matt?
Now, a benefactor from that caution, Mike, is Jimmy Johnson's back on pace with the leaders. They are going to make a track bar adjustment. He said as he leaves, he's going to battle the 24 off. He said he needed a little help off the corner to free up the race car, so they went up half around on the track bar. But he said at the beginning of that run to when the caution came out, that's the best his car has been all day.
So things cycle around to where we have 13 cars on the lead lap. And we'll be back to Texas on FX after this. Big cheer from the crowd as former winner of this race, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who drove to his very first Winston Cup win right here, comes back on the track. Not much sheet metal back of those rear wheels, but a trunk lid and spoiler is required by the rules.
It looks like Mongo had a hold to the back of that car.
It's good to go. Now, two drivers who did not pit, Matt Kenseth and Jeff Green, are now at the front of the field, followed by Tony Stewart, Rusty Wallace, Jimmy Spencer, Mike Skinner, Ricky Rudd, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, and Mark Martin, the top 10. Bill Elliott, Sterling Marlin, Terry Labonte, and at the tail end of the lead lap, Jeremy Mayfield.
I think the biggest thing helped Jeff Green was staying out while ago, catching that caution, got that track position.
Perfect timing. Kenseth from last to first.
Can anybody go the distance, Larry?
I don't think so.
What'd you say?
77 laps to go. Never say never, though.
Right.
Oh, Mayfield gets hit by Bobby Labonte.
Oh, and it messed up Labonte's front end. His tires got a smoking right front, looks like.
Yeah, he'll have to come to pit road.
It's going to bottleneck that whole inside line.
Mayfield may have missed a shift, or it might have been just where Labonte had the momentum going and Mayfield didn't. Stewart quickly moves up to second place behind Kenseth. Steve Burns.
Mike with Greg Zipadelli. Greg, tell us about your decision to put on 2 tires instead of 4.
Well, the car's been a little loose on stickers in the get-go, so we figured with this stuff, put some stickers on the right side. We'll see if that's not a good thing for us. We got pretty good track position. I don't think with 7 laps it was going to make that big a deal. Kind of just looking for the end of the race if it comes down to something. We never had too good of luck with right side tires, and figured we'd try it right now.
Let's go about Yoakum.
Well, Steve, Chad Canales' car driven by Jimmy Johnson. You got the caution that you needed now. After those adjustments, can your man put it to the front?
He can do it. If we would quit having trouble in the pits, I'll tell you what, I think we'd already had a race won this year. But we've had some unlucky pit stops and troubles there. Seems like every time we pit under green, the caution comes out. If we can ever get all this squared away, we're going to be just fine. The car's really fast. Jimmy's doing a great job. You know, there's a long ways to go. I think we might be able to get up there and have some fun.
How is your car in traffic?
It's like everybody else's. It's tight, you know, but there's not a lot you can do about it. These speeds, when you get behind somebody, you just lose the front downforce. You're going to have that.
He restarted in the 9th position.
There's a bit of smoke from Kenny Schrader's car.
I see a lot of cars getting out of shape, but just a little bit here and there. Sterling got out of shape off of 2. Saw the 48 car wiggle off of turn 4 down here. I'm not so sure there's not a little fluid on the track.
Jimmy Johnson pretty loose there.
Right down in the middle of the corner.
Now, what happened between Bobby and Labonte and Jeremy Mayfield on the start?
I think when Jeremy Mayfield trying to get that lap back, he realized he was fixing to jump the leader, Matt Kenseth, backed off. Bobby Labonte didn't, got in the back of Jeremy Mayfield.
Schrader makes a pit stop under green. 72 laps to go.
And the intensity is picking up.
But you know, I heard Greg Zipadelli talking about changing 2 tires. And again, that's a smart move. If your car's been loose, automatically just putting 2 fresh tires on the right side with older left sides, it will automatically tighten the race car up. Normal conditions.
Don't you put 2 tires on my car with 80 laps to go.
Second
But you
place.
didn't have that many on them.
I don't care. I want 4.
Ain't leaving like you give them to.
That's right.
Second place, Jeff Green took it right back to Tony Stewart and repassed Stewart for second.
Don't put 2 tires on my car with 80 laps to go. I don't care how free it makes or loose or whatever. Jeff Green has impressed the heck out of me. Making that's a gutsy call. It's a big, big change to go back there and hook that rear sway bar up.
This car looks good right now, right around the bottom.
And you know, knowing what the rear sway bar does, it'll free the car up off the corner. This place has a history of tightening up off the corner. It was a really smart thing to do.
Kenseth the leader, Green second, Stewart third. And don't count out Mr. Fourth place here, Jimmy Spencer.
Spence has been kind of hanging around there all day, you know, and he's been in and out of the pits a lot, topping that thing up with fuel. He must not be getting real good fuel mileage, but this late in the race, you know, he got to stop again anyway. He can do that and make it to the end just fine.
You know, we hadn't seen really any of the Dodges getting that great of fuel mileage.
I think it's all that gear they're pulling. They're turning those things 88, 8900 for 500 miles. You're going to burn a lot of fuel.
Earnhardt Jr. and 8 car coming back to pit road.
He's going to be back in again. He was pretty fast down pit road.
He was, and it never fails. You come out of the garage, you're kind of wondering how your car's going to be. You don't pay any attention to your pit road speed, and they give you a ticket.
Well, when you're 74 laps down, what's one more?
Boy, did you see Terry Labonte in that 5 car blow past Sterling Marlin? That's a battle for 12th.
Sterling's car, I think, it got shoved up out of the groove there a minute ago. I don't know, it looks a little loose to me.
That's actually the last 2 cars on the lead lap. Right now, we're sitting there with 13 cars on the lead lap.
Inside of his car here, Sterling Marlin got the telemetry on him. He's up off of turn 2, going down the back. See how far he is behind the leader. Kenseth's off of 4. He's into 3. 190 miles an hour.
About 9.5 seconds back. About a third of a lap.
Thing accelerates up hard up out of that corner. Just picks up speed just fast. 195 miles an hour down into turn 1.
Off into a corner on a 1.5 mile racetrack. Wow.
Folks, I don't know if you've ever ridden the Hawk or
2950, good lap.
The rock and roller coaster, Aerosmith, but that's what it feels like.
Well, the 2 fellows out front, Matt Kenseth and Jeff Green, may have a little advantage because they both raced here Saturday. They've got the most laps of the weekend on this racetrack. It's only Green's first Winston Cup race here, but he finished 5th on Saturday. So he's got a lot of laps here this weekend, which most of the drivers in this race do not.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the teams that tested, but those 8 Winston Cup drivers that did run the Busch race on Saturday, you have to believe that helped them as well.
And he got beat on Saturday by something that's not going to beat him today.
Rain. Kenseth, Green, then Tony Stewart, Jimmy Spencer, and Rusty Wallace. 270 laps complete. Welcome back to Texas. 275 laps complete. No change in the front 5, but there may be one coming. Yeah. Second place.
It's all over the back of him here, and Tony Stewart's car looks like he's getting faster and faster.
You know, Tony been fighting him, couldn't get that thing to turn. He let that left front fender breathe out there, got that front downforce on that left corner, able to turn it down off the corner.
Now they are 3 seconds behind race leader Matt Kenseth, the Rockingham winner, and number 2 point man. Dick?
Yeah, but how's this for long odds? Matt Kenseth lost an engine here in one of the early practice sessions. Had to start the race today absolutely dead last in the field. This is only his 3rd Winston Cup race here. Starting all the way in the back. He's got probably the worst possible pit stall all the way at the back. He didn't test. His crew chief was Robbie Reiser. You guys are leading. Now what? How will you run the rest of the race?
Well, we've come a long ways today from 43rd. We've had to try a few different things to get him up there, but you know, I probably deal to the end here is we're gonna be about 20 laps short, so maybe take some right side tires, maybe take some fuel. I don't know, we'll see.
Make it up as they go along. They're real good at that.
Well, when they won at Rockingham, they started 25th. In fact, Matt Kenseth has had 4 starts out of the top 20 this year, but he's second in points.
Consistent, though. Very consistent.
Now, Larry, you know, I always talk about encouraging the driver, keeping him pumped up, and I like a crew chief and a driver that have a great relationship. But listen to this.
This was during the caution flag.
I think with a lot of these guys, Rusty, because they pitted under this last caution, which gave them 30 laps on us. Everything's going to be just fine, okay?
10-4, so really right now, we're running in 3rd place with a full tank of fuel.
10-4, that's right.
All right. Good job.
Thank you.
Now, boys, I've driven for a lot of guys, and that's really being really kind to each other right there.
I don't think a driver ever told me thank you for nothing.
You can tell Wilbur's he's a new crew chief this year, and he's really trying to make the most of it.
Rusty right now is in 5th, right behind Jimmy Spencer.
But that was a good job, and he was right.
Day is done for Dale Earnhardt Jr. NASCAR rules now allow you 1 chance to get a car repaired in the garage, bring it back on the racetrack, and get it up to at least minimum speed.
Matt Kenseth's teammate Jeff Burton in the 99 car, he's back out on the racetrack 31 laps down, just trying to make all the laps he can.
Engine is what has put Earnhardt in the garage for the rest of the day.
Well, and you have to believe as hard as he went up the racetrack, it what we call spun the motor backwards, and that's pretty hard on an engine.
Yeah, and the other thing it'll do is it'll run the drive shaft up in the back of the transmission, and it can really knock the bearings out of the engine.
Jeff Burton came briefly out of the garage and is headed back there. He's done for the day.
Look at Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. Gordon was saying, I'm a little faster than you are there, bud. How about getting out of my way?
It's a battle for 6. Jeff Gordon takes a position.
Well, we talked about the owner drivers, Brent Bodine and Kyle Petty. Jeff Gordon is the 50% owner of Jimmy Johnson's car.
Proud owner, I might add.
Boss, you go right on by. This time. Next time, your mileage may be different. 283 laps complete in Texas. Rockingham winner Matt Kenseth is your leader. Tony Stewart, Jeff Green, and the best battle on the racetrack is right here. Rusty Wallace and Jeff Gordon for 5th. Dick Bergman.
Well, Rusty Wallace kind of stuck his neck out. He had hoped the set of tires he put on the car in that last caution flag was going to go the distance. The tires are not to his liking. The car is very loose. As a result, Wallace right now is almost 8 seconds behind the leader. To Steve Burns.
Well, Dick, Tony Stewart may have a tire rubbing. We're listening to him right now, and he says he can see tire smoke. He may have one rubbing. Could be a bad break for Tony Stewart.
I don't think he hit anything.
No, I don't see anything either. A lot of times you pick up a piece of rubber to get up in the engine compartment on the header, make you think you got a tire rubbing.
You know, Darrell, you talked to a driver the other day, and it's almost 2:30 here in Texas. And what I'm seeing, this racetrack has went through a serious transition. I mean, I know some people had problems, but still, you know, they're out there running Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd, cars like that. With Rusty Wallace was so good early, they're struggling. All of a sudden now, people like Matt Kenseth, Jeff Green, Jeff Gordon, they're showing up. You talked to a driver about that.
Yeah, I did. I talked to Ward Burton, and he said when they were testing from about 1 o'clock to 3:30, the track didn't have any grip in it, and that was really a tough time to run. They couldn't make any good lap times, and they were having trouble even on long runs. So it's showing up right now, and I think the guys that worked on their cars early are the guys that are running good.
Don't see much indication of any kind of tire rub on Stewart's car. There's a little bent sheet metal right near the right rear tire, but
yeah,
not much.
Probably what he did, he probably rubbed into somebody when he passed him. It's got him thinking that since he rubbed into him, maybe a tire's rubbing. But I don't, if it is, you can't tell it. Sometimes, though, they can be rubbing so slightly, and it comes up in the cockpit with you, and you don't see it.
We're hearing that NASCAR has told their officials around the racetrack to look at the right rear of the 20, but boy, Matt Kenseth in the 17, he's in his own little time zone. He's about the only car on the racetrack right now that's even in the 29-second bracket. Last lap, 29.88. Most everybody else in the top 5 or 6 in the 30-second bracket.
I think Gordon is going to get Rusty Wallace this time. This is for 5th place.
You can tell Rusty's loose, Darrell, because where Jeff picks up so much ground is getting in the corner, and you cannot be loose here driving in these corners 190-something miles an hour.
I know Rusty's probably pulling his hair out because I think about the number of times that he's made adjustments at the end of the day, and it felt like it might have bitten him. Today, he maybe should have made an adjustment, and he hadn't, and it looks like it might bite him.
Steve, Tony Stewart's crew has tires up on the wall. Any more chatter about a possible rub?
Yeah, Mike, there. Matter of fact, the spotter, everybody on pit road looking at the car. There's also a Jumbotron, a big screen, right behind their pit. So the crew's watching the car on the big screen. They have noticed a slight sheet metal curl. They said it was on the right front, Mike. You mentioned the right rear, but they seem to think it's on the right front. But Tony has also said that he doesn't see any more smoke, so he's just going to keep driving through it.
Well, these radials are so tough. The sidewalls are so tough that they'll make their own clearance.
Speaking of tough, Jeff Gordon, he's been picking a car off about every 2 laps. He just went by Jimmy Spencer for the 4th position. Matt Yoakum.
Well, he is on the move, Larry. You mentioned earlier about the 24 looking a little loose. He did come on the radio and tell his crew chief, Robbie Lewis, that he felt like the car was looser on this set of tires than the last set.
Think it's the tires or think it's the track?
I think it's a combination, but I think the track is probably the biggest thing based on the information that we've gathered over the last 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I think it's the track. But being a little bit loose and moving forward like he is obviously better than being tight and having to lift up out of the throttle when you exit the corner.
Well,
so
right now,
hang on to it. That's the way to go.
Even though we're looking at Fox tracks, even though he's got a fast race car, he's still ever so slightly losing ground to Matt Kenseth. The last time by, he was 0.2 of a second slower than Matt Kenseth on lap 296.
He's coming off of turn 2. Kenseth's coming off of turn 4. Got a long way to go.
We've got 38 laps to go and one more set of pit stops. So we're going to take our last break before the checkered flag so we can watch all this unfold with you. You're watching NASCAR on FX. Fifth place, Mark Martin working over Rusty Wallace. 33 laps to go here in Texas.
Mark's really turned it up. I mean, he's been coming on strong these last several laps.
One pit stop to go. Jeff Green's just made his.
And what he did, they came to pit road with about 33 laps to go. And Darrell, this is where you're going to have to work with me, buddy. Track position's important. I'm going to put 2 right side tires on you, make a little adjustment to free that car up. You're going to have to do your job now for about 30 laps for me.
I can live with 2 right side tires now.
Track position. Because we don't need but a little under a can of fuel. We only need to be there about 8 or 9, 10 seconds.
Yeah, make the best stop you can under green.
Mark Martin moves up into the top 5. Matt Kenseth laps past Michael Waltrip.
Yeah, it's loose in.
And it's about time to play dodgeball on pit road. Jeremy Mayfield will be the first of those.
That should mean Elliott can't be too far behind. They've been coming in pretty close together all day long.
There is Bill Elliott.
Going down the back toward turn 3 here.
He's the 9th place car. Sterling Marlin in another Dodge is 10th.
Terry Labonte is 11th. He came to pit road and topped off with 1 to go about lap 258. He's going to be able to pit probably with about 10 laps to go. A little bit of splash of gas and go there.
That'll work for him.
Dale Jarrett has led the most laps today, 134 of them, but then ran out of gas. He is 2 laps down as he makes his final stop. Matt Kenseth looking for win number 2. Here's Jimmy Johnson, the 8th place car.
Yeah, he's been falling back a little bit, Jimmy has. Doesn't seem to be quite as good as he was earlier on after this last stop. Probably going to make an adjustment on his car.
And what these crew chiefs have to be careful. We know we have to stop. Let's don't run it too close to the edge and take a chance of running out of fuel.
Not now.
We know we have to come, so let's come a lap or 2 early. Make sure we don't run out of fuel. Because if these cars start pushing, it'll use more fuel. You're bogging the motor down more.
It's probably time to talk about parity. Ford, this Pontiac, a Chevy, and a Dodge in the front 4.
Not too bad.
The Chevys got a rule break between Bristol and this race, Larry.
What they let them do, it wasn't that they let them pull the bottom of the valence out more. And while we were talking about that, I think that was Kurt Busch in the 97 car. He was all the way up against the wall, turn 2. But they have a measurement from the 10-inch point of the roof where they measure the roof height to the tip of the front valence. The Chevrolet was the shortest at 99 inches.
And in trouble is Busch. He had a tire going down.
Caution is out. Caution is out.
Boy, that slow spin that he did with that tire down allowed everybody to work their way past him.
And who pays the price? Jeff Green, for one.
Yes, he does. And Dale Jarrett, who was already 2 laps down.
Busch climbed the hill in turn 2. Might have brushed the wall, but in any case cut down a tire and spun it up in 3 and 4.
Boy, when these races go green like this, there's nothing better than a car that gets good gas mileage.
This is the 7th caution of the day. And here's what happened.
We saw it happen. Larry called it down here in turn 2. He got up high, and you can see he's wobbling.
Now, Darrell, is he trying to feel it out to see if he has a flat?
No, he knows it's flat. He's trying to get to the bottom right there. I think he probably knew it down here in the corner, Mike, when he went up high. He knew something was wrong. But that's, woo, boy, Terry Labonte. I'm not so sure he didn't scrape it with Terry Labonte.
I think so.
We have 12 cars on the lead lap. We're going to have about 25 laps to go. Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, they have to change 4 tires. I feel like most everybody will, but you never know. Somebody in the back, a little bit of gamble, maybe try to get that track position with 2 tires.
Now's when you could talk me into 2 tires if I was running back there, maybe into Terry Labonte or Bobby or Sterling Marlin or Jimmy Johnson range.
Well, there are the leaders. Kenseth, Stewart, and Gordon, the front three. Spencer is fourth.
Think back to last year here, guys. Johnny Benson took 2 tires about this point of the race. Larry and I stood over here and said, they can't do that. And he near won it.
Dick Berggren.
Well, the original plan for Matt Kenseth was to put 4 tires on the car. Kenseth came on the radio and said, let's try 2. That's what they did. They faked 4, but they took just 2. Kenseth, a good shot to Steve.
Air pressure adjustment for Tony Stewart, Dick. They're going to go up a pound on 3 tires and 2 pounds in the right front, so he's not loose. Matt Yoakum.
Just like last year, his last stop, Jeff Gordon's only going to go with a 2-tire stop, and he is down and away.
Kenseth wins the race off pit road. Then Jeff Gordon, then Mark Martin, Jimmy Spencer, Ricky Rudd, and Bill Elliott.
Think back to last year. Johnny Benson took 2, took the lead. We thought he was going to pull it off. Dale Jarrett took 4, and right at the end of the run, right near the end of the race, he took the lead and won it on 4 tires.
And Jimmy Spencer took 2 tires as well in the 41 car. The more cars that took 2 tires, the better off for those guys that did. That puts the people with 4 tires behind them here probably with less than 20 laps to go.
Here are your lead lap cars. Stewart, Kenseth, Martin, Spencer, Rudd, Johnson, Elliott, Kenseth, Wallace, Marlin, Labonte, Skinner. Let's ride along with Rusty Wallace. As Kurt Busch had his problem.
Low, inside, another one, inside. Good job, you cleared him, clear.
Little help from Earl Barber, Rusty Wallace's spotter on top of the roof here.
Caution came out quickly. No one had a chance to get a lap back from the leader. And there's the resultant damage to Kurt Busch.
Oh, you got to know.
Now, in front,
to hold them.
In front of the leaders will be Jeff Green and Jeremy Mayfield on the tail end of the lead lap.
Still fighting to try to catch that caution before the leaders can get back by him.
Well, when you get this late in the race, 20 laps to go, everybody's going to be doing all they can. Holy cow, what happened to him?
All right, you see the NASCAR official right there waving. You got to get in your box.
Well, they've got...
There you go. I'll get in it this way.
They had just the right rear outside the pit box.
Oh, wow.
And by rule, the right rear can be out of the pit box.
I thought he was probably okay.
A little parallel parking there on pit road.
Of course, it was just always my nature to disagree with the guy in the red suit.
Don't do that next Saturday, Darrell.
Oh, I'm trying not to.
Darrell's going to drive in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race next Saturday in Martinsville.
My duckhead footwear Dodge.
And after yesterday's exchange, he doesn't know it yet, but Kevin Harvick's going to have a new crew chief, Chris Myers.
Chris Myers going to be his crew chief?
We're working on it.
Yeah, well, you know, Myers is good on reading notes, so...
Chris is going to climb up on the war wagon and depose Kevin's crew chief and put on the headset. And then we'll see.
I was wondering how I was going to get even with Harvick, and that's going to do it.
Okay, don't tell, folks. It's a secret.
All right, now since we're within the 25 lap to go rule, only lead lap cars can line up to the outside. Technically, Jeff Green is a lead lap car. In the 30 car, he's at the tail end of the lead lap, so he can line up in front of Matt Kenseth. Jeremy Mayfield, 2 laps down, he has to go to the inside, and look who's in second place, the man with the flames.
See, he's doing just what I thought I would have done this too. I'll take the inside going into turn 1. Move down there and restart on the end. It's like being on the pole. You got a better shot of winning the drag race on the inside, you're on the outside.
Now, Tony Stewart, that extra work in the pits is what dropped him back to 8th. Everybody else moves up.
20 laps to go, back in 8th place. He's got 4 tires. He might be able to make it, but I doubt it.
Of course, Mark Martin in that 6 car changing 2 tires as well. We've got about 4 or 5 cars up there that has 2 tires.
You know, I saw a poll this morning on Inside NASCAR, I think it was, said that the fans thought Jeff Gordon was going to win today.
Ready, and...
Well, we've got 22 laps to find out. Good clean restart. Jeff Green unable to take advantage of the race leader, and Matt Kenseth heads him off toward turn 3.
I think that's your 2 best cars down front right now from what I've been watching. The question is, can Gordon get after that 17 car? 17 car has been by far and away the best car in the latter part of the race. and he's out front in that beautiful clean air.
And the cars with 4 fresh tires have not yet cleared the traffic.
And one thing that Jeff Gordon has fought race after race is not having a very good car behind the car. But I was explaining before Kurt Busch spun out, they let the Monte Carlo stretch the front end out another 1.25 inches. More front downforce in traffic was where they hoped it was going to help them the most.
Chevrolet hoping for their first win of the season.
Good, man.
Matt Kenseth hoping for his second win of the year.
Problem you have here is everybody's racing. Everybody's racing somebody. You're either racing with the cars a lap down or racing with cars 2 laps down. When you're back in the pack like Tony Stewart is, it makes it difficult to move forward.
There you see the miles per hour, about 83 miles an hour at the start-finish line. 193 for Gordon, 195. This is down in the middle of turn 1 and 2. There you see Matt Kenseth 3 miles an hour faster down in the corner, coming up off of turn 2. 3 miles an hour faster than Jeff Gordon.
And it really shows too. You can see that gap between he and Gordon open up right through the center of the corner, particularly in turn 1.
Tony Stewart is stuck in traffic as the leaders scoot away.
All right, this is top miles per hour going off into turn 1. Jeff Gordon faster by 3 miles an hour.
And see, that's a great graphic. You can be faster going into the corner, but you're going to pay the price in the center of the corner.
And I want my car to be faster in the center of the corner. That means you're carrying more speed off the corner.
It tells you your driver's trying really hard, but it tells you the guy in front of you is handling better than you are.
This is going to be a 3-car race. Mark Martin is coming.
Come on, Marky.
He's about 1/10 of a lap quicker than Matt Kenseth and Jeff Gordon. And again, all of these cars on 2 right side tires only.
You're riding with Martin past the condos at turn 2. There's that interval in the upper right of the screen.
I think if Mark I know he's trying as hard as he can. I think he could get Gordon. Because Gordon's fallen off for the 17 just enough, and I think it's going to help Mark suck up. Then you get a little draft here. Obviously at 195 mile an hour, you're going to get a little draft.
Interval shrinking there, 1.02 seconds.
15, 16 laps to go.
Again, Mark Martin's car is just like his teammate up there, the 17 car, Kenseth. He's faster through the center of the corner.
Gained a little bit there up off of turn 4. Got a good run off turn 4.
4th place, Spencer and Rudd side by side, and sheet metal almost exchanged.
Boy, it is, and I mean, boy, Spencer had to give Rudd some room there because Rudd had that fender right up along the left quarter panel.
If you can ever get that right front fender, that left rear getting in the corner, it's all over with.
You better let him go.
All over with one way or the other.
That's right, something's going to give. I said Mark is going to catch the 24 car. If he gets by him without too much trouble, look out.
For more on Gordon, here's Matt.
Well, Mike, you hear so many times that Jeff Gordon's cars are a little more aero-sensitive than maybe some other drivers, but this car in the 24 stable is one of their better aero cars. In fact, it won at Las Vegas in this debut 1 year ago, and the last time Jeff Gordon went to victory lane at Kansas City 14 races ago, it came in this race car. He was a little loose in the last set of tires. That's why they only took on 2 to try to tighten it up. Super G is hunkered down in the seat. He hasn't said anything about how this race car is handling now.
This is no time to be talking, I can tell you that. There's no time. Crew can't do anything for you now. They're putting equipment up right now.
The old phrase, you got what you got.
Yep, they're packing for Martinsville. 13 laps to go. Matt Kenseth out in front by half a second. And Mark Martin is catching Jeff Gordon. Ricky Rudd is pulled away from Jimmy Spencer, who has Dale Jarrett separating him from Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson.
You know, we got a heck of a battle back here for 10th. Terry Labonte probably having one of his best runs this year, going underneath Rusty Wallace. Rusty, ever since about 2 stops ago, that car has been nothing like it was at the beginning of the race.
No, at one time he was dominating this race, pulled out to a big lead, but he sure hadn't shown it the last few laps.
I mean, right now, Stacy Compton in the 14, and he's about 2 or 3 laps down. He's going by him.
Last top 10 for Terry Labonte was Bristol last August.
On the Terry, he likes this track. I think he's averaged finishing about 6 here, time and time again. He's had great runs here.
Home field advantage.
He says the first time he came here, 97, he liked it. He's been good here ever since.
Yeah, in 5 races, average finish 6.4, and he's led a lap in all the previous 5 races here.
And if you look at his performance this year, that's a great turnaround for him and his team.
Second place, Mark Martin is there. He's all over the back of Jeff Gordon.
And you better believe Matt Kenseth looks up in that rearview mirror and says, come on, Mark, get side by side. Y'all race side by side for a few laps for me.
Yeah, because this is not, Jeff Gordon's not going to pull over and let Mark go, even though he might be faster.
Tony Stewart, Jimmy Spencer side by side off turn 4.
Spence washed up the hill down there, and Stewart stuck it down under him.
And Jimmy Johnson, he's going to stay locked onto that rear bumper, Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart opened the door. Jimmy Johnson, he wants to take advantage of it as well. Jimmy Spencer's going to go all the way back to about 8th position, 7th position.
Tony Stewart's tires are just now coming in. But guess what?
Too late.
Too late.
He's too far back. Stewart is 5 seconds back of the lead.
Mark Martin has caught Jeff Gordon once again. He's up there. He's got to get that left front down, out of the air, out of Jeff Gordon's air, where he make that car turn when he gets up behind Jeff Gordon.
He's got to get up behind Jeff and loosen him up and then cut out from behind him.
Mark Martin, 3rd at Las Vegas.
8 to go.
3rd at Las Vegas, his best result of the season so far.
And there's a lot of guys that are good, the great drivers, but Jeff Gordon, when he comes down the inside of 10 laps to go, he's a hard man to deal with. How's the old point leader? He's back there.
Yeah, battling Bill Elliott.
Yeah, this is a battle for 8th position. Both these cars, Sterling Marlin in particular, has 4 tires. They've been running Jimmy Spencer down up there in the 41 car. Right now, if you're back in traffic, those 2 tires probably aren't feeling too good.
No, they're not. But out in front in clean air. Moving on, baby. Moving on.
7 to go. Now, if you're Matt Kenseth, Darrell, to see those 2 cars behind you side by side in your mirror, is that the best sight in the world?
You know what? I mean, he knows they're back there, but he better not be looking back.
Okay.
Because when you're looking back, you're losing time. You just let that spotter and the crew chief and everybody else keep you abreast of where you are. He looks like he's holding his own.
What I mean is, if they get to battling,
that's great.
That's great for Kenseth.
Oh yeah.
At that time, Mark Martin was real fast through the middle of the corner, but it's like he just couldn't keep the speed off the corner, had to back off just a little bit to get the car to turn.
Well, as he went across the wake of the 24 car, it lifts the front end, and he loses the front end for a moment.
Meanwhile, Sterling Marlin went past Jimmy Spencer. That's 4 more points for our point leader, Marlin. Moves him up to 7th.
And pulled away in a hurry. Again, 4 tires versus 2 back in the pack.
So you've got Kenseth pretty much by himself. Gordon and Mark Martin nose to tail. Ricky Rudd has gotten way out ahead of Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson. Then Sterling Marlin, Jimmy Spencer, Bill Elliott, Terry Labonte, Rusty Wallace, and Mike Skinner, the lead lap cars.
Another just fantastic day for the 48 car. I mean, give me a break, guys. He's running in 6th place. Rookie guy, I mean, he's doing what a whale of a job. If he doesn't get my Lowe's credit card working, no, I'm not going to be mad at him. I know that.
3 to go.
Y'all got y'all, didn't you?
Mine works.
Get here, 2 laps.
Last time Matt Kenseth came across the line, 29.66. Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin back there running 29.80. So he's pulling away here as they'll come across the line. 2 to go.
Well, I believe the fat lady might be
clearing her throat.
Clearing her throat.
Starting to hum a little bit.
Getting her pitch right.
Mark's all over the back of that 24 car. I don't think he's ever going to get enough run on him to get by him, though.
Right there, Mark pulls up on Jeff Gordon, right center off the corner. Just can't get enough run to carry it down the straightaway.
He's got 1 more lap to try.
And I think what Jeff's doing is just being sure he doesn't get up off the bottom, because I don't believe it. I think he knows that Mark can't pass him unless he gets a nose under him.
Mark did the same thing in the middle of 1 and 2, right up on the rear bumper. He just can't keep that speed off the corner.
Gets back in it quick, but just can't carry the speed off.
Hey, Vanderbilt, you know what to do.
Number 17 coming off of turn 4. Checkered flag in the air.
6 races, 6 different winners. Matt Kenseth beats Jeff Gordon by a second. Mark Martin is 3rd, Ricky Rudd 4th. Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, the top 5, and Marlin, Spencer, Elliott, Labonte, the top 10.
Good for Terry Labonte, a top 10 finish. Point leader up to 7th.
How about Matt Kenseth and the Holt Roush? 2 cars in the top 3 for the Cat in the Hat. Jack Roush.
And even Kurt
2 wins
Busch.
for Matt.
Kurt Busch had a good car and cut that tire down as well in the 97.
Dick Berggren.
Attaboy, Robbie Reiser is crew chief. Last year, the best you guys could do was 4th. Now you got 2 wins and 7 starts. How in heaven's name have you got it going so well?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's about the people. All the people that are involved with the 17, I can't thank them enough for everything they've done for us. For the guys at the shop, Wayne Gaudet, our shop foreman, all the guys that put these great cars together every week for us. Not only them, but I want to thank all the people at Roush in general for what they've done for us. It's been a great year so far. 97 and the 17 have been working together really great, and 6 and 99 are coming around, so everything's looking good. It's pretty exciting.
Well, it sure is. Driver and crew chief used to race against each other. Robbie decided it was time to put Kenseth in his car. When he got hurt, couldn't race anymore, and what a combination they have proven to be.
It's been a great one, Dick. So Kenseth the winner, Gordon 2nd. We should mention this is Jeff Gordon's 300th Winston Cup start, and he is the first driver in the history of NASCAR to make his 300th start in all consecutive races, from race 1 to race 300 without missing an event.
All started on the day that Richard Petty made his last start in a race, Atlanta 1992.
And Alan Kulwicki, who we lost 9 years ago this week, won his Winston Cup championship, all in that one event. Like Kulwicki, Matt Kenseth, a graduate of the Wisconsin short tracks. And in only his 83rd Winston Cup start, he has his 2nd win.
Tony Stewart, those 4 tires got him to 5th place. Johnny Benson, first car lap down. Dave Blaney, 15th.
Dave Blaney was even on pit road one time with the hood up.
Exactly. Stacy Compton, he's 19th.
Last time I saw Matt, he and Katie were on their Harley riding back from Bristol. Nice leisurely ride back to Charlotte. There's Katie along with Jeff and Michelle Green. And a number of Winston Cup drivers who made that trip on 2 wheels. What a great season he's had so far. 2 wins, 2nd in the points. And he started 31st on the grid.
Yeah.
And previously, the worst start of a Texas winter was 7th. So he's come further than anybody has to reach this spot, victory lane. Steve Burns.
And let's find out how he did it, Mike Joy. Matt Kenseth, you guys, we talked about it all day. Had to change a motor, start from the back. You only had 5 laps of practice. What's the key to winning this race?
That was a great effort by the guys. Clean air was a big deal. If you were out front and had the front end pinned in the clean air, it was fast. And we had a good car all day. We started dead last because we had an engine problem before qualifying, so it put us in the back. But we had a great car all day, and we needed to be out front, and we were out front when it counted.
2nd win of the year, Matt. You guys are having a great season.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is next to unbelievable. I never thought we were going to have a shot at winning the thing today. So I'm real happy for my sponsors, DeWalt. They've hung in there with me for 4 years, and they've been doing a great job. And AT&T and his Ford Taurus ran pretty good, too.
Was it hard to be patient today, Matt?
Not really. You really didn't have much of a choice because when you caught somebody, you just get such a bad air push you couldn't turn. So it wasn't really a matter of being patient. It was having a car turning good enough on the bottom where you could pass cars. And once we got in front, we were real fast, but it was difficult before that.
Congratulations. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Steve, a super performance by Jeff Gordon. Your first top 5 since Kansas City, the race you won last year, but you worked for it today.
Yeah, we did. As a team, we worked for it. And, I just thank God for this team because they never give up, and we can overcome any adversity. And we've been throwing some here lately, and today was a real solid day for us. And couldn't ask for a better day for the DuPont Chevrolet, and to start where we started from, really the car was great. We just need to get track position. We adjusted on it a little bit all day, but man, there at the end, Robbie and Brian, those guys in the pits, made a great call to 2 tires. Unfortunately, we couldn't beat Matt out, but we got there in second and gave him a run for his money.
Jeff Gordon scores his best career Texas finish, a second here this afternoon. To Dick Berggren.
With Mark Martin, who finished third. It is so good to see you with a smile on your face with the guys who finish in the top 5.
It's just such a privilege to drive for all these guys. Ben Leslie and his whole team here. They had a Viagra car hooked up today, but it was a little bit slow on new tires, but it was one of the very best cars here on the long run. And, you know, we'd lose so much ground early, but we'd make it a lot of it back up, but we couldn't contend to win because we couldn't get off to a good start. So on the last caution, putting half a set of tires on, you know, was good for us. We probably ran better than if we would have taken 4. And I was wishing we didn't have to take any. We were going to finish that good if it would have gone green right down to the end, because we were just marching, you know, the leaders down.
I think it might have had something to do with the fact that you let Steve Burns into your motorhome yesterday. To Matt Yoakum.
Dick, the first 5 races in 2002 for Ricky Rudd, his average finish was 26, but the last 2, 3.5. You guys have really turned up the wick, Rick.
Yeah, these guys, you know, we've been to a short track at Bristol, run 3rd, run 4th here today at Texas, a big track. And, you know, like I said, a couple of weeks ago they identified all the problems and went to work on them. And these guys on this Haviland Ford team today just gave me a tremendous race car. We got out of sync on pit strategy a little bit, and our guys did the right call at the time, but we just about got a lap down there, and we never could come back after that. Our car got pushing really bad, and I saw we caved the front fender in on it a little bit, and that just kind of killed us.
3rd at Bristol, 4th today here in Texas. Mike?
And of the cars that ran well at the top of the day, he was the one that was there at the finish. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the Samsung RadioShack 500. Our post-race show with results: Matt Kenseth, 2nd win of the year. Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, 3 Fords in the top 5, along with a Pontiac and a Chevrolet. Tony Stewart behind Ricky Rudd. Jimmy Johnson, the highest finishing rookie. Point leader Sterling Marlin loses some ground to Matt Kenseth. Then Jimmy Spencer, Bill Elliott, and Terry Labonte, his first top 10 of the year.
Well, it's been an exciting 3 days down here in Texas. What a great facility. You know, it's fun to come down here. Don't like all that rain, but today was beautiful, man. I had a great ball. I had a ball today.
Well, my heroes this weekend are Dave Hill, Steve Stum, our whole technical crew. Big attaboy to Jeff Probst, who works with Dick Berggren. In the rain the other day, a little 6-year-old kid had lost his parents, sitting there shivering. Jeff took care of him and got him up to security and got him back with his folks. How about the Winston Cup points? Sterling Marlin now just 70 up on Matt Kenseth. Rookie Jimmy Johnson, strong 3rd. Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, defending champ Jeff Gordon. Another young gun, Kurt Busch there with Tony Stewart, Ricky Rudd, and Bill Elliott.
Eat your heart out, Hammond. I bet you ain't got nothing that looks like that, buddy.
I don't know about Matt Kenseth in that cowboy.
I don't think that'll work, but boy, it feels good, I'm sure. Man, look at that trophy. That's great.
But once again, tell your friends that had to go to work or school today, they can see the Samsung RadioShack 500 tonight at 7:30 Eastern and Pacific on FX.
Look, the cat in the hat has a different hat. Jack Roush.
Everybody's got a hat in Texas.
Texas Rangers down there.
Well, it's worth the wait.
And you know, we talked about this thing possibly being one on pit road. What a great call, Robbie Reiser. They had already changed 2 tires. I felt like they probably was going to need to put 4 on. He rolled the dice and changed 2 again. So once again, even though Matt Kenseth had a great race car, good work, good strategy by Robbie Reiser and that crew.
What I love is, and I said it at Bristol, I'll say it again, we finally have a situation where you got to think. You got to think about 2 tires, 4 tires, no tires. It's not just 4 tires every time you come down pit road. That puts a lot of burden on your old shoulders, buddy.
Much more than just who's got a fast race car.
It makes the racing more exciting because you got options, and I love options.
6 Winston Cup races at Bruton Smith's beautiful Texas Motor Speedway, perhaps the showplace of the sport. 6 different winners. And the newest sheriff in town here north of Fort Worth, Wisconsin's Matt Kenseth. For all of us with Fox Sports, glad you could join us on this Monday. Thanks for sticking with us. Hope you enjoyed the Samsung RadioShack 500. For Daryl and Larry and our pit crew, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week in Martinsville as Winston Cup racing rolls on the Fox Networks, your home for NASCAR.